Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode Wonderful 101.
Welcome back to another episode of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Ben Boyce. Joining me this evening, my two cohorts, my two compatriots here, Mr. Bender Holt and Mr. Frankie Ayler. Say hello to the people, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, people.
Thank you. So we are Brent Felsing tonight. An episode sooner than we were expecting, but he his little one has arrived. So Anderson Carter Felsing was born this past week. Just want to take a minute here to congratulate Brent on the birth of his beautiful baby boy, his second son. Like I said, Anderson, welcome to the Short Pause world, buddy. I can't wait to edit your articles and break out my red pen in the future. So, but yeah, congratulations to you, Brent. We're happy for you, dude. He's obviously got family stuff going on, so he'll be missing for the next few weeks as he welcomes his son into the world and gets acclimated to having the new baby and all that kind of stuff. So take your time, dude. We'll hold it down here, and congratulations again, man. We're really excited for you. So with that out of the way, thank you, Bender. Talk to me, fellas. How you feeling, Bender? How you feeling this evening, man?
Doing good. A little tired today. We stayed up pretty late playing Battleborn. I couldn't stay up as late as you guys were, but it was fun. But yeah, I'm doing good.
You missed out, man.
I know I did. You guys beat the heliophage again, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. You did.
So disappointing.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So Battleborn, big new patch release this past week. The winter update. We haven't really talked about this too much on the show here, but changed a lot of stuff with the game. Most notably, it actually changed the frame rate of the game. So you can now play it at an unlocked frame rate on a regular PS4 and at the, from what I understand, it's pretty rock solid 60 frames on the PlayStation 4 Pro. Franklin, you're obviously a huge Battleborn fan. You run the Battleborn stream as often as you can here through the Soulless Chronicles, through our website, through our Twitch page. We got a chance to hop in there, test out the new update. You guys ended up doing some of the other new content before I hopped on there with you. But why don't you talk a little bit about the winter update, about how the game's changed, about some of the new content you experienced last night, and how it felt to beat the heliophage as a group instead of by yourself.
Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna back up a little bit. I actually picked up a PlayStation Pro. Conveniently, that arrived on Thursday, which is when this update went live. So I got to play it at 1080 60, and yes, it is a rock solid 60. But as far as this update goes, it seems like a lot of quality life improvements. The menus, a lot of the game just looks a lot cleaner. They kind of all the character stats are just like the character layout and everything just looks a lot nicer. On top of that, all 25 original Battleborn are now unlocked from the start. I believe as you complete the required challenges to unlock each character, you would have needed to complete it before to unlock them. You now are rewarded with a pretty cool looking skin. So that's pretty cool. I want to say they've gone in, each character got some tweaks. So some of the characters have, there's more info in their lore pages. Like you said, I assume the game's running pretty well for you guys as well. The unlocked frame rate seems to be a pretty big deal breaker. That seems to, we had a friend of mine playing with us after the stream last night, and like he was saying, that game just feels like a completely new, it's new life into the game with the unlocked frame rate, because at 30, I guess it feels pretty stiff. I don't know. I never really had a problem with it, but gotta say, it felt nice playing the thing at 60. It definitely is a much smoother experience, especially some of the, not all the characters are, your typical Oscar Mikes or Whiskey Foxtrot, where you're a gun-toting character. So playing as one of the melee classes, especially because I ran through his Wrath, and it's so much nicer playing as a melee character at 60 frames. So, but yeah, a lot of quality of life improvements. And I'm looking forward to hopefully some more content. Hopefully Gearbox doesn't just abandon Battleborn after the next couple story ops come out. So, which we also got to check out on the stream. I know Ben, you didn't get to join us, but we checked out the new character Beatrix. She is a sniper support class, so she can speed up her allies with it's called Patient Zero, I believe. That's her L1 move. R1's like a little homing projectile thing that she shoots out, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, she's not bad. She's a pretty cool character. We also got to check out Toby's Friendship Raid, which is the prior story app mission. This winter update also, of course, brought the Oscar Mike versus the Battle School story app, which we'll hop on and check out probably in a couple weeks when we have time. So, yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening with Battleborn. So, if you're interested in that game, now is the perfect time to hop in. So, if you're interested in how the game looks and runs on the PlayStation Pro, check out our YouTube channel. It is 720, but it is 60 frames, so you will get a first-hand look at how that game looks running at 60.
It definitely feels like a different game. The Battleborn before it was locked at 30. The game was smooth before. There was no frame rate issues or anything with the game prior to that. It was just locked at 30. But you can tell with the unlocked frame rate on the regular system, and I'm sure with the locked 60 on the PlayStation 4 Pro, just feels a little bit different, feels a little bit more responsive. It's kind of the feel that we expect from shooter games nowadays. And it's one of the things that always amazed me about Destiny too, how that game is able to feel the way it does at 30 frames. So that's probably the only exception to the rule. But other than that, almost every shooter is designed to run at 60 frames a second. Bender, did you see a noticeable difference on your end when you were testing out the new update last night?
I did, and it's kind of funny because I didn't know what the update had done really. So I went into the game and I was like, oh, the UI is different. That's cool. So we start playing and I'm like, this game looks different somehow. Why is it so different? And then you guys started talking about the 60 frames. I was like, oh yeah, it's good. I could really tell a noticeable difference in the way the game looks. It just runs so much smoother and just looks, a lot crisper and everything, and just it just feels better to play. So yeah, it's a really big improvement for sure, and it's still a fun game, but it's really cool to see it in 60 frames.
Yeah, it has a much better feel now. So if you jumped into Battleborn, you weren't enthralled with the 30 frames on consoles, I would definitely give it a whirl now. It feels a lot different now that it has the higher frame rate. Frankie, you're on the Pro. You're not on a 4K TV with the Pro, but did you notice any like sharper image quality or improved visuals on from the 1080p side of things?
It does look a lot crisper, like Bender had said. I was watching back a couple of the other streams, and even the level we ended up playing, it looks not that particular level, but one of the ones we played afterwards. Just like comparing them, it is definitely a lot cleaner looking.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm interested to see what that looks like. There is a 4K mode as well, 4K at 30 frames available as well if you have a 4K TV. So I feel like that game in 4K with some of the art style and the colors could probably look really cool. So I'd be interested to see what that looks like as well. There's a very extensive patch note list for this game. So if you're interested to see everything that went into the winter update, just Google that. You'll be able to see everything that they added into the game there. And like you said, man, all the characters are unlocked now. So it's really never been a better time to hop in there, test the game out. You can get it for super cheap now. I mean, it's probably $10 in most places you can pick it up for. So if you're at all curious about that game, hop in there, grab it, see what it's all about. So it's a good time to hop in there now. Other than that, anything else you've been playing, Frankie?
Yeah, I actually started up another new series with a couple of friends of the site, Madzu from the original Next Level Gaming podcast, and our friend JD from the Play and Listen Gaming podcast. We're playing through Warhammer: The End Times Vermintide. This is a game that when it came out, it looked pretty interesting, but I don't think any of us were interested in picking it up right away. The developer is not really a proven track record developer. I confused them with Piranha Bytes. I thought they were the Risen team, but this is actually Fat Shark, which I think their last outing was Escape from Dead Island. So,
So,
but
so
yeah,
not great.
no, not at all. But I picked the game up on sale probably back in like November, and I've been bugging people to get it because it looks like fun. So JD picked it up. Madzu finally picked it up because he had played it before, and he was pretty gung ho about grabbing it too. So we finally set a night aside to sit down and play through it since I had finally finished Yakuza 0. And yeah, if you're a fan of Left 4 Dead and you got a couple friends with one of the systems it's on, I recommend checking it out. It is a little rough around the edges. There's some weird jank going on, but yeah, that's a fun game. I played as one of the little melee characters as a dwarf, so he just it's got a little shield. You just hack the crap out of people. Each of the characters has a different weapon type, and then I believe you can hit Y. You have like a secondary weapon. It's usually a projectile. So there's a lot of promise there, though. We're going to be firing that game up again on Tuesday night sometime, probably around 11:15 p.m. at night. So if you're interested to see what Warhammer Vermintide is, check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/shortpause live.
Indeed. If you could compare it to a game, it kind of looked like a Left 4 Dead kind of game to me. Is that an apt comparison?
Yes, it's very much a Left 4 Dead type of game. Very heavily teamwork focused. Just lots of hordes of these things running at you at any given time. So I still haven't learned the different names of different enemies, but there's definitely a lot of comparable Left 4 Dead ones. There's a guy who'll come in and like he has like a little hook thing, like a scythe he'll stab you with and just start carrying you away. There's one kind of like the hunter that'll leap at you and just claw the crap out of your face. There's one that fires like a big like acid ball, kind of like the spitter. So yeah, a lot of Left 4 Dead comparisons are made there for sure, and probably why I like it so much. So
Gotcha. Yeah, it looked like it could be a fun little game. So I'll be interested to watch you guys play through that some more and see how it evolves from there. What else you been playing, man? Anything else?
Actually, I started up Gravity Rush Remastered. Gravity Rush 2, of course, came out on Friday, so I'm interested in hopping in there. That was a game I started back when I had a Vita. I thought it was a great time. I just, I don't know why I never finished it, but I never did, so I stupidly opened my physical copy, only to find out a day later Amazon discontinued them, so now they're fetching a hefty price, still sealed, and
Funny,
my luck.
funny story about that. Amazon put up a batch of 60 of those today. 60 brand new sealed, brand new $30 copies of Gravity Rush Remastered, and I knew the hysteria that was going on around them, so I hopped in there and grabbed one before they were gone. So
Nice.
somehow it just reappeared magically for a few minutes today. It was weird, but yeah. So that there's been quite the uproar about that game now that people are seeing or hearing the buzz about Gravity Rush 2. They're like, oh man, and they find out that this one's available on the PS4 now. So they go back and try to find it, find out it's only available on Amazon and it's gone. So there's the secondary market for that game is hopping right now. So
Yeah, and rightfully so. It's a great port.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I didn't think the controls would translate well over to console, but the game feels nice to play.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. From what I've played on the Vita, it's always a series I wanted to go back to and play all the way through. It's got many of the elements that speak to me as a gamer. So I need to make some time to do that one of these days, right?
Yeah, someday,
Yeah. And anything else, man? That about it?
Well, that about it. I finished Yakuza 0. Full review is now up on the website. Spoilers, I really like it a lot. It's it's interesting.
And we will talk about that more momentarily here. So that's a tease. We're teasing right now. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Bender, how's your week been going, man? What do you been playing?
Well, lately I've been playing a lot of Mass Effect 2
Oh,
because
cool.
since Andromeda's about to come out in a couple months, I decided I might as well try to play through 2 and 3 before it does. I think it's doable because I have a lot of time on my hands. I have no life, so
Perfect.
Sounds doable then, yeah.
Yeah. So I already beat 1 like over a year ago, I think it was, and I started to like several months ago, and I just
Mhm.
kind of started doing other stuff. But I'm at this point, I'm like 20 hours into Mass Effect
Oh
2
wow.
now, so
Okay.
I'm getting there. So I'll have a ways to go before I get through all, but I think I can do it before
Yeah.
Andromeda comes out. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a really cool game, great story and everything. So it's a really cool series. So I'm
Pretty
looking forward to it. To
pretty
play
big
it.
jump from 1 to 2, right? How
It-
things change.
yeah, it is. It is a big jump, yeah, for sure. And I like how there's new characters plus some of the old characters as well, and you know all that stuff. I hear 3 is a lot less RPG focused and more action focused, but
Hmm.
we'll see what that's like when I get there. But it's a cool series. I'm liking it.
Are
When
you
you sorry, go ahead.
are you gonna play the DLC too, or are you just trying to pound through the story?
I think because I bought the trilogy on PSN, I think it came with the Shadow Broker DLC for 2.
Yeah.
Because I just encountered that quest that I can play it now. Apparently, you don't have to wait till you're done with the game.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I'll play it now or wait till later. But yeah, I'll definitely jump into that too, if you know, if I have time.
When you get to Mass Effect 3, you have to try out the cooperative multiplayer too.
Oh
If
really?
we've talked about it on this show before, but I've spent a lot of time playing that. No, never
Mhm.
actually played through Mass Effect, but I spent over 100 hours in the multiplayer on Mass Effect 3, and it's really cool. It's a good time. Um,
Cool.
Taz, obviously, our cohort on the site here, probably over 1,000 hours of multiplayer in that game. It's
Wow.
it's pretty wild. Yeah,
Hmm.
he was nuts over that game. So we'll have to talk to him about that one day. What else you been playing, Bender? Anything else?
Um, Not a whole lot. I don't think I've mentioned it on the show yet, but I did get the platinum trophy in Final Fantasy 15.
All right.
So
I think the man deserves a round of applause for that. Good job, man.
thank you. I
Platinum
was pretty
trophy
proud of
in
it. That was my
Final
10th
Fantasy.
platinum. I thought what better game to get for your 10th platinum. But it took me 80 hours altogether to do everything to get the platinum. But
It's
I
awesome,
enjoyed
dude.
every minute of it. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. The story doesn't make a ton of sense, especially near the end, but I don't care. I still enjoyed it. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, super cool game. It was well worth the time and effort, and I'll go back to it because I mean there's DLC coming, so
yeah.
I'm looking forward to jumping back in and seeing what all the new stuff they add. So I'm
Lots of
pretty pumped.
DLC coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw this week they're adding the gold saucer to it, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Gold saucer
Mm-hmm.
is like the Final Fantasy amusement park. So that's awesome, man. It was always one of the coolest things about Final Fantasy 7. They added gold saucer to Final Fantasy 14 as well, a
Mm-hmm.
little while back. So that's pretty cool that it's coming over to Final Fantasy 15. Um, so what do you think, man? Are you a bona fide Final Fantasy fan now? Are you gonna maybe check out some of the other stuff that's coming out this year, or maybe seek out some of the past titles in the series?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm gonna have to maybe go back and play 7 before the
Hmm.
remaster comes out or remake or whatever.
Yeah,
Definitely gonna want to play that remake when it comes out too. That's looks like it's gonna be really cool.
yeah.
Um,
Can't wait for that.
but yeah, it's a cool series. It was definitely like they said a game for fans and first timers alike. So as a first timer, I really enjoyed it. It's
Yeah.
an awesome game.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you liked it. Brent loves it as well. It's been selling extremely well too. So really cool to see the series kind of get back on its feet, get propelled back into the spotlight. Now I'm really excited about that. So good stuff, dude.
Hmm.
As far as myself, we talked about I hopped in Battleborn with you guys last night, but outside of that, I fired up the Flame and the Flood on the Indie Spotlight on Thursday. Played that for a little while. Really cool game. Really cool art style. Runs great. It's an adventure survival game, but it's not. And I talked about this on the stream, but it's not an overly obtuse survival game. Like there are tutorials, there's messages that kind of tell you what to do and give you ideas of where to go and that kind of stuff. So it's not one of those games that just drops you in there and you're just kind of clueless on what to do. You have direction, you have an idea of what you're supposed to be doing. There are some things you have to figure out along the way, but I like that it's inviting. It's an inviting kind of game. It doesn't feel like it's just out to kill you, or it's overly complicated or just overly difficult. Anytime I died in that game, which was usually on the raft because I suck at driving that thing, so outside of that, yeah, the raft is tough, man. When you get in those whitewater rapids and you're trying to steer yourself around, yeah, I drowned 2 or 3 times on that stream from my raft getting destroyed. So so that's difficult to figure that out. I didn't encounter any enemies, but I know there's some in the game. I just once again couldn't control my raft good enough to get around the navigate around the map far enough to get in contact with some of those. But yeah, even if you're not a survival fan, I think it's something that that's worth checking out and giving it a whirl. So I had fun with it. I'm not a super huge survival fan, so yeah, give it a whirl. Watch the video. It's up on our YouTube page, and see if the Flame in the Flood might be something you get into.
Looks
So with
like a
that,
cool game.
yeah, I really like the art style in that game. So really,
Yeah.
really cool.
I was gonna wait until your stream before picking it up, but I figure $11.99. I mean,
Yeah, good,
It's not
good price
bad.
on that too.
yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, I went on the store to buy the game. And I had it in my cart, but then I saw that they had I forgot what they called it,
Oh,
instant
the indie,
bundle
yeah, the
or
indie
whatever they called
collection.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had Dear Esther and Hue in it as well for a really good price. It was $23 for the Flame in the Flood, Hue, and Dear Esther. I hadn't yet purchased Dear Esther and Hue, so I was like, dude, for a few more dollars, I'm gonna buy this and get all 3 of these games because I've wanted all 3 of them for a while. So definitely check that out if you're looking at the PlayStation Store anytime soon. Not sure how long that package is gonna be on there, or how long that deal's going, but $23 for all 3 of those games. 3 games that regularly cost $15 each, I think, is a pretty good deal. So definitely recommend taking advantage of that. So outside of that, that's what we've been playing. Now we need to find out what we have to look forward to this week. Franklin, you're going to take us through the new releases. We have a very, very beefy list of titles here. Starting with Gravity Rush, which came out on Friday as we're recording this. We are in the midst of this kind of pedal to the metal Q1 release schedule that we're going to be on for the next few weeks here. So
A few
it
months.
really, yeah. So it really gets going in earnest this week. Why don't you take us through the releases, man?
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna follow in your footsteps. Of course, we're gonna start with the PlayStation side of things.
Alrighty.
Big one this week. A couple big ones this week. First off, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Yeah, I a lot of people seem to have gotten their hands on this thing pretty early. A lot of positive impressions, a lot of buzz around this game. So, of course, coming on the PlayStation, it has PlayStation VR support, which apparently you can play through the whole game with that. Which I don't know if you want to, but
if you can survive, yeah.
yeah. So, and I know this is like Bender's most anticipated game of the year and all, but any interest in Resident Evil 7, guys?
I know Bender. You this is not your kind of game, but man, this game looks great. It really, really, really does. The trailers we've seen for it, this game looks just terrifying. Like seriously, this game looks terrifying, scary, frightening. I really, really want to play it. I have some other games that I have to play though, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to this right away, which kind of disappoints me because I really do want to play this game. It looks like it's gonna be a stellar experience. Really, really curious about PSVR on this game too. This is the first full-fledged AAA game that you can play from start to finish in a VR headset, and I'm really curious what that experience is like. But outside of VR, though, just the base game, everything that I've seen and heard about it sounds like it's going to be a lengthy, like beefy game. It really, really looks like this is going to be the return to survival horror that fans have been waiting for a long time with the series. I honestly can't wait to play, man. I know Brent's really pumped for this one as well.
Yeah. Does this one have pro support as well?
Yeah, pro support as well.
Nice.
So yeah, it's gonna look nice on that fancy new TV.
Indeed. So we also got some details about the season pass. A couple of things that you can expect to find in there. Banned footage volume 1. Says Nightmare Bedroom Ethan Must Die.
Sounds like
Descriptive?
sounds like the name of Bender's mixtape, and then maybe some of the songs from it. Like, Band Tape Volume 1, Ethan Must Die.
Of course, there is a second volume as well. 21 Daughters, Jack's 55th birthday. I assume these are names of stories included in these.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'm thinking maybe you find these tapes, or maybe you don't find them. Maybe you just buy the DLC, and then you can play through like episodes on the tape or whatever of
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
history with this family or whatever. I don't know.
that would make sense. And then, of course, there's an additional story episode.
Hmm.
So,
Which I guess we would assume that would either happen prior or after the game.
Mhm.
Maybe outside of the tapes. That's the only thing I can think of.
well, so yeah, if you're interested in more Resident Evil 7, pick up the season pass along with the game.
Do we have a price for that, Franklin?
The season,
know?
I know there's a deluxe edition for $89.99. So I assume the season pass is $29.99. I think initially it was cheaper, and then because of the amount of stuff they're putting in, they jacked up the price. So I feel like it was initially $79.99. Now it's $89.
Interesting.
So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big title for Capcom. There's a lot of people excited about this one.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of positive buzz around it. So it sounds
Yeah,
like it's
definitely.
not going to let anyone down. So
Yeah.
Moving on here, of course, as we talked about before, Yakuza 0 coming to the PlayStation 4 this week. Dude, this game is, like I said, our review is up on the site. I played through this thing, finished it in a little under 40 hours. Dude, I don't get to sit down and play through a lot of big games like that often, but dude, this game, once it gets its hooks in you, it's just pedal to the metal till the end. It's nonstop action between both the characters. And one of the things I mentioned in my review, I kind of want to touch on really quick is, so back when Brett and I were playing Halo 5 Guardians, there's a lot of scenes that play out in cutscenes. You know, you're running through all these exploding helicopters and different things. Like you're sitting there like, I'd really like to play this. That would be fun. But you know, Halo 5 stuff, a lot of that the action heavy stuff is confined to the cutscenes. Whereas Yakuza 0, and I don't know if this is for the entire series. This is my first Yakuza game playing, through from start to finish. But a lot of the cutscenes are very dialogue heavy, a lot of reading. Of course, it's a subtitle game, it's spoken Japanese. So, but any of the action scenes, like you're playing through this game when all of the crazy action is happening around you. There's, whether it's fighting your way up through like a ton of guys to get to the top of the tower to, meet up with a guy, or there's a couple scenes, you're on the highway, you got a chase scene, and then it's helicopters that you're shooting out of the sky. Like you're in the center of all that action. This isn't like playing out in the middle of a cutscene. Like this is you in the action. Coming off of a lot of games like Halo 5 and even Gears of War 4 to an extent, I can appreciate being at the center of the action. I think that's great. Ben, I know you'd expressed some interest in Yakuza before. Any interest in Yakuza 0?
Yeah, dude. Especially after your review, but not just your review, but a lot of people's review. This game reviewed very, very well in the press. The Metacritic is extremely high right now. I don't know what it's somewhere between 85 and 90 right now. It's really high. A lot of people seem like they enjoyed this game, and yeah, it looks really interesting. And people have been talking about the same kind of stuff. Some of the stuff you mentioned in your review. The story is awesome. Almost universally agreed upon. It's an awesome story. So the action sounds fun. Just the amount of stuff you can do in this world sounds really cool. There's some goofy elements as well, which I know you touched on in the review, and I know a lot of people have spoken highly about some of the more lighthearted elements of the game as well. So yeah, actually, I pre-ordered the game after some of the hoopla about it. So I don't know when I'll play it, but I'll have a copy here to play at some point. But like you, man, Yakuza is a series that I've wanted to play. I have a lot of the games in the series. I've never sat down to play through one. One of them we got on PlayStation Plus. I have several of them on the PS2. I think I've bought all the ones on PS3 at some point or another, either on sale or whatnot. So I'm pretty sure I have the entire Yakuza saga between
Nice.
whatever systems I have. I just need to sit down and play it. But yeah, it sounds really cool, man. And I'm happy to see that it's kind of knocking it out of the park with critics. So it's exciting, man. Looks like a cool game. Hopefully, it'll get some more exposure now with this being kind of a good entry point to the series.
Yeah, I feel like too it's coming out at a nice time. It's the calm before the storm, so hopefully it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, unfortunately, Resident Evil 7 is kind of looming over it this week. But I feel like it'll probably draw a different audience than Resident Evil 7. So
Oh yeah. So moving on here, Kingdom Hearts 2. Here, I don't want to butcher this name. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue.
yeah,
Ooh.
nicely done.
So what is included in this? You may be wondering, and me as well. You're going to be getting Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance HD, Kingdom Hearts Point 2 Birth by Sleep, and Kingdom Hearts back cover. So I'm not familiar with a lot of these games. I know one of them is basically the cinematics of a mobile game, I believe.
Yep, that's what back cover is. It's kind
Okay.
of kind of takes the story from that and puts it in like a little movie that you can watch and kind of catch up on that stuff. Dream
Gotcha.
Drop Distance was the 3DS game, I believe. So this is the kind of HD remaster of that. And Birth by Sleep Point 2 is, I think, a completely new game, like a new mission that they added after the Birth by Sleep story, which was on the one of the previous collections. It's the one they made for PSP.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a new episode that they made for that. That's part of this package. So yeah, this is like the final package before Kingdom Hearts 3. So this will kind of get you caught up on everything you need to know before that game comes out, whenever that game comes out.
Yeah, unfortunately sounds like it's still a ways off.
Yeah, apparently the Birth by Sleep part of this links the story to Kingdom Hearts 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably kind of the last thing you'll experience in this package, and that'll be kind of the bridge to the third game in the series.
Nice. Cool. Yes, Kingdom Hearts fans, check that out. Tales of Berseria is out this week, the next game in the long-running Tales series. Earthlock Festival of Magic. This is that kind of old school RPG that came to Xbox a couple months back.
Mhm.
Looks like it's a lot of fun if you're a turn-based strategy fan.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that one. Looks to have a lot of old school RPG elements to it, turn-based battles,
Mhm.
exploring an overworld, that kind of stuff. I had considered that for the indie spotlight, but it's not coming out till Friday, so we'll have to have to put something else in its place.
Gotcha. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Maybe a week after.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hunter's Legacy, the 2D Metroidvania game where you play as a cat, came to Xbox last week and PlayStation this week.
That's one I'm heavily considering for the spotlight this week.
That game
It
looks like a good time.
Yeah, it's a cool looking game. It's just kind of a traditional Metroidvania kind of game, but it's got a
Mhm.
cool look to it, and I don't know, looks fun to me.
Yeah. I hope. I actually that's what I'm hoping you pick because I'm curious to see that game in action.
Yeah, I think a lot. It's probably under the radar for a lot of people. It came out on Xbox last week. Haven't heard too much about it, so yeah, it might be a good one for the spotlight.
Yeah, nice. Moving on here, The Turing Test. I believe this is a first-person puzzle game. It's from the guys behind Numa Breath of Life. Bender, any interest in The Turing Test?
Yeah, I saw a trailer for it, and it looks kind of Portal-ish. So it's definitely looks like it's something that could be a game that I'll enjoy. So I might have to check it out.
You've got some type of a gravity gun or something, don't you, to kind of solve
Yeah,
puzzles or something along those
Yeah.
lines?
definitely some first-person puzzling going on, which I like.
Yeah, I like puzzles.
I really do.
Yeah, this game did pretty well when it came out on Xbox. Ben, any interest?
Yeah, it looks like it's got a really cool story, and I don't know if there's any combat or anything, or if it's just strictly a puzzle game. But it looks like it's got some interesting puzzles from some of the footage that I saw. It looks like it's a beautiful game too. Um,
Mhm.
it's been out on Xbox for a little while. I feel like this reviewed pretty well. Maybe I'm mistaken on that, but I
Oh,
thought I heard some good things
it
about it.
did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So I'm interested in this one as well.
Cool. Probably gonna pick that one up too. I've heard really good things about. It sounds up my wheelhouse, so
Hmm.
why not?
Yeah.
Motor Racer 4, long running motorcycle racing series, I believe. Next game coming out this week.
It's no motorcycle club, right? But hey, what is?
Hey, it's
Yeah.
true. It's a good point. Pineview Drive. This one looks interesting. This is like a first person. It's like a horror game, but it sounds like a kind of like a thriller. You're solving some kind of mystery.
Mhm.
So I don't know a whole lot about this game, but sounds cool. Moving on here, the next in the Arcade Archive series. This is a Neo Geo game, World Heroes. This is an old fighting game. Ben, have you ever played this one?
Yeah, I remember it back from my Super Nintendo days. It was a cool game at the time. You know, it was one of those Art of Fighting, World Heroes, Samurai Showdown. It was in that mix of games, and I remember having a good time with World Heroes. But you know, I don't know how it's aged over the years. But
Yeah.
it was a cool game back in the '90s.
It didn't look too bad in the trailer, so
Yeah.
right price, maybe I'll check it out. Uh, this one looks really cool. Lethal League. So I don't know if this is kind of in the same vein as like a Windjammers, but I don't know if it's a local only or if it's also got online multiplayer. But basically, you and it's up to 4 players, but you're trying to hit this anti-gravity ball into the face of your enemies. So you guys are running around beating the crap out of this ball, so it's gaining momentum. Did you guys see
Did,
the trailer for this?
Dude, I
Mm.
watched the trailer for this. I had never heard of this game until we were putting together the show, and this game looks awesome. It looks really really good. The art style is incredible. I mean, it looks like a like a cell shaded, almost looks like a hand drawn animation type of look to it.
Yeah.
So the look of it is incredible. The action or the goofy trying to hit your opponent in the face with the projectile looks just wacky and zany. The characters look crazy. It really really looks like a fun game. I'd love to get in there if they have online co-op. Get in here, get the 4 of us in there, and give this game a go because it looks like a blast.
The last thing I would have thought about was picking up like a sports type of game, but this this looks like a good time.
Yeah, it's like a crazy mix of like a fighting game and a Smash Brothers like Tower Fall and with some like Windjammers or some baseball mixed
Yeah,
in there as well. So it's a really really interesting mix of stuff. But yeah, it looks like a ton of fun, man.
yeah. So apparently there's a single player as well to that. So
Oh, nice.
moving on here, Subterranean. This is like a top-down. I don't know if it's a dual stick shooter, but it's a top-down open world survival game.
Yeah,
You're
it's got some twin stick elements for sure.
yeah. So you're like on a Martian colony trying to survive.
hmm
Um,
Another game I'm looking at for the spotlight as well, along with Hunter's Legacy. I like what I've seen of that game so far.
that'd be a nice one too. Enigmatis, the Ghost of Maple Creek. If you're into these Artifacts Monday hidden object games,
Yeah,
there's another one for you.
go find some objects.
Yay. Firefighters, the simulation. This is a Wednesday release.
We can all agree to avoid that one at all costs.
Yeah, probably. I believe this is the Farming the Simulator team, not to be confused with the Farming Simulator team.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
tread with caution.
Yeah.
Then just a couple things. Of course, the Battleborn update went live. I believe Beatrix goes live for everyone, regular players, this week as well. Killing Floor 2 also saw a Tropical Bash content pack update the other day. This adds a new island. Basically, this nice looking tropical resort. Things are on fire. That's always good. The Zed Landing is the name of the new map. Not only that, there's also a new weapon called the Bone Crusher, which is a Berserker class melee weapon. And I believe there's a new enemy, the Gore Fiend, which I'm not versed in the different enemies in this game. I know Brent, myself, and JD fired this up one night. I know Brent's stuck with it a lot longer, so he probably knows the different enemy types a lot better than I do, but I'm not sure. A devastating dual-bladed version of the Gorefast Zed. So I'm not sure which one the Gorefast Zed is. I believe he's maybe that's the Weapon X looking guy who kind of blocks your stuff, but I thought he already had 2 blades, so maybe they gave him another blade to smack you with. So yeah, if you're playing Killing Floor 2, you have another level to play. Don't think there's any new bosses yet, so you're still kind of just stuck with Hans, and I believe there's one other one who can pop up, but they're kind of randomly inserted. So a couple of things I want to throw out. Limited run on Friday. We'll be doing Oxenfree and Aqua Kitty Milkmine Defender DX. Oxenfree, of course, a PlayStation 4 title. Aqua Kitty, I believe this is a shoot 'em up. Maybe mistaken though.
I think it's like a shoot 'em up type of game. I think that's right.
Yeah, so that one will be on PlayStation 4 and Vita. That one's limited to 2,800 copies on each platform. Sold in their X's, anything to go by, that one will go pretty quickly. So if you're interested, 10 a.m. Eastern Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Time for the second batch. Usually that'll last a little bit longer, so maybe if you miss out in the morning, you'll get it then. Nothing for the PlayStation 3 or Vita this week, so let's hop into Xbox. Resident Evil 7, Motor Racer 4, also coming to the Xbox next week, as well as Subterrane. Towerfall Ascension, Wednesday release. This game's been on the PlayStation for a couple years now. This is like the big star title on the Ouya. Something good had to come out of that thing, right?
Yep. It came. It paved the way for it to get to other platforms. So
Yeah.
thanks, Ouya.
Yes, thank you. The Sun and Moon. This game looks strange, to say the least. It's You're like a little ball, and you kind of are trying to collect. I assume there's sunlights, and you can tunnel underground.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's strange. $6.99 title.
I think this came out on PlayStation a little while back.
Did it?
It came out on something. Maybe it was a Nintendo, but it came out on something. And yeah, it's a strange looking title.
This looks like a Nintendo release.
It's got eShop written all over it.
Yeah, it's a $6.99 Friday release. And lastly, Doodle God Ultimate Edition coming on Friday as well. I feel like this game is coming out on something every other week.
Seems like it.
On to Nintendo, on the Wii U, what we missed last week, Star Fox 64. So if you played Star Fox Zero and want a good Star Fox game, Star Fox 64 is available now.
I think it's worth noting too that you might want to hold off on virtual console purchases right now because we still don't know what's going to happen with the Switch. So
Good
this
point.
is a game. If you're contemplating buying a Switch, you may want to see what they're going to do with this. If they're not going to move these purchases over, you may just want to wait for Star Fox 64 on the Switch if it's going to be a thing. Who knows at this point? But
It's good advice.
yeah.
Also, Snowball, $3 eShop title, as well as Mega Maze, a $3.99 eShop title. This week, find out next week.
Yep.
On the 3DS side of things, what we missed last week, nothing. We nailed it. Good job, team.
All right.
New releases this week. See you next week. And then it's all for the new releases.
Nice. That was an exciting Nintendo section. I mean, let me tell you. Yes, obviously the Nintendo winding down the Wii U there. But I'm sure we'll find out what's coming to the 3DS and stuff later this week when they reveal the eShop titles. So thank you, Franklin, for taking us through that. Let's hop into the news, and fellas, we're gonna stay with Nintendo. We are just over a week removed from the reveal of the Nintendo Switch. So we saw that conference. We've voiced our opinions on that very loudly, and some of the things we saw at that conference. If you haven't, check out the last episode, both in audio and video form on our YouTube page or on the podcast service of your choice. It was a good time. A totally unbiased opinion from me. But here we stand just over a week later, and I kind of want to touch base with you guys now that we've kind of had a chance to process this. I want to know what you think about the Switch as we stand right now. Do you feel better about the console's prospects for the future? Do you feel better about pre-ordering it? Do you feel better about the game lineup? Do you feel worse about it? Just we're gonna get into some of the stuff that was discussed this week, and we'll go over everything that was revealed about the Switch. But just a real quick kind of overview. I want to know where your thoughts are on the Switch right now as we stand right now. Bender, let me start with you, man. What are you thinking about Nintendo's newest platform as we sit here right now on this Saturday evening?
I feel about the same about it. I'm still excited. I still can't wait to get my hands on it. But I mean, there's still lots of questions. I mean, still things I haven't talked about that I want to know more about. I want to learn more about their online service. I want to, learn what the infrastructure is going to be with the previous purchases and the virtual console games. And I mean, until we learn that information, I mean, I'm not going to be 100% certain about how I feel about it, but I'm still excited and definitely want to play it. So I'm definitely getting one no matter what. I'm going to be playing Zelda on my lunch break at work, which is going to be awesome. So I mean, that's going to be a good start. So I hope they continually, announce more games, even if it's just like digital games or whatever, even if it's not physical stuff. I mean, I want to learn more about what's coming in the future.
Franklin, how about you, man? Are you kind of in the same boat as Bender, feeling about the same as you were last week? Have your feelings evolved at all? Where are you feeling on the Switch right now?
I'm still about the same, although maybe
Hmm.
more so cautiously optimistic.
Hmm.
I still wonder if Nintendo is going to. How do I say this? If they're actually going to release a console that is going to find a way to stay relevant throughout the year.
Hmm.
We of course saw, and news at 11 right here, but of course some of those games not looking quite as good as their PS4 or Xbox One counterparts.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, again, like I feel like you're going back down that road with third party support where if you're like us, you're a gamer, you're playing all these games on other systems. Switch versions of games are not gonna be a priority for you. They're not gonna do well on the Switch. They're gonna go away. I'm concerned that that's gonna happen again. I wish,
Hmm.
looking at Nintendo's hardware itself, I wish developers would just make something exclusive for the system that'll do well on its own right, rather than falling back on a crappy Call of Duty or Watch Dogs or these Dragon Quest ports. But I don't know. The only other concern I'm still running with is the eShop support. I was looking over, not obviously not looking over, but I was like sitting here thinking, like, I actually probably put a couple $100 in eShop games between just the Wii U over the past couple years I owned one. So I wouldn't mind getting those purchases on my Switch without having to pay them more money. But the more I think about it, the more I'm looking at all like the price gouging here and there. I don't. I'm starting to fear that we're gonna be paying for these games again somehow, and that
Yeah.
sucks.
And we're gonna touch on some more of that stuff here shortly. But I'm in about the same boat as you guys, if not feeling even a little bit worse about some of these things. But my feelings for the Switch largely remain the same right now. A week later, um, there's still some exciting prospects with the system. The prospects of getting a brand new open world Legend of Zelda, a brand new open world Mario game, a definitive version of Mario Kart. Like those are all exciting propositions, but it's like you said, it's some of the other stuff that we're still unsure of, or some of these other decisions, like the weird stuff with the online, that still has me very leery about this system and about its prospects for the future. So, um, so we'll touch on some more of that as we go through this week in the Switch. But first thing I want to do, I wanted to clear up something we talked about last week. There was some confusion, at least on my part, about just what the Switch was going to support in terms of its memory. Nintendo has since come out and clarified that. So I'm gonna read this excerpt from a Game Informer article that it basically said in a statement to Game Informer, a Nintendo representative clarified that the Switch will be compatible with micro SD XC cards, allowing the system to hold up to 2 terabytes of memory. Then Nintendo has a full statement. Nintendo Switch is compatible with the SDXC standard, which supports up to 2 terabytes. Note that 2 terabyte cards are not yet on the market, but the system will support them when they are. 1 terabyte micro SDXC cards are still a ways off for most consumers as well. Currently, the largest available say this 5 times fast. Currently, the largest available SDXC cards hold 512 gigabytes of storage and retail for $200 on the low end. While while the highest micro SD XC card is currently 256 gigabytes. So, just to clarify, right now, the Switch will support micro SD XC cards up to 2 terabytes once they're available. The highest available right now in the micro SD XC form is 256 gigabytes. So it's kind of a mixture of what we talked about last week. 256 is the highest available right now, so that's the highest the Switch will support currently, but it will support up to 2 terabytes once those are available. But as we just talked about, those are going to be very, very expensive once they finally do come out. So it's going to be years before 2 terabyte micro SDXC cards are in the range of affordability, you'd have to assume. So,
Mhm.
I don't know, bang for your buck, probably looking at maybe a 128 card. Um, I think those routinely go for 30, $40. So maybe you can add 120 gigs that way. I saw a 200 gigabyte card on Amazon. I was looking through it the other day. I think that they had one on there for like $70. So even that's really expensive. But seems like right now 128 gigs is going to be the way to go in terms of some extra storage. Um, Frankie, I know you're probably not going to do this, but Bender, any thoughts about like going full on digital with the Switch? As it's
Um,
a system that thrives on portability, is this something you've considered at all?
um, not. I don't know. Haven't really thought. I didn't really put that much thought into it until
Yeah.
I was reading about these cards and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, it's not a huge deal to bring around a bunch of game cards if you have, especially if you have a game case that can carry
Yeah.
them with you.
Hmm.
I don't think the Switch game cards are going to be too big in size, but and if you have a game card, I mean, all the data is going to be on the game card, so you may not have to have a lot of data to be installed in the actual system.
Hmm.
But as far as going all digital, I mean, I guess that sounds like based on the price of those micro SD cards, it's going to be kind of expensive if you want to have a great deal of space
Yeah.
to download things. So it might be more feasible just to buy the game cards and keep them with you when you travel around.
Yeah. I I did this with the Vita, and I really like it on that system, but I didn't buy anything physical on the Vita. Everything I have on the Vita is all digital, and I really enjoyed just being able to hop in there and just download whatever games I want, put it on the system, carry it around with me. That's really nice for a portable system. Even if the game cards are small like they are for the Switch, it's still it can be cumbersome to try and carry around all your games with you. I like the idea of having them all sitting there on the system for you, and that was my plan all along with the Switch. I was like, if I get a Switch, I kind of want to go digital with this because it kind of thrives on its portability. But man,
Mm-hmm.
some of these prices, it's going to be expensive to go all digital on the Switch. And the other side of this is how intuitive is this online system going to be? Like, am I easily going to be able to download the games I've purchased? Am I gonna have to jump through hoops every time I want to re-download a game? Is this gonna be easy to do? So that's gonna be kind of the other side of the coin. Franklin, obviously we know you like your physical items. Have you put any thought into either buying a large portion of your games digitally, or have you always planned on kind of getting the physical cards for this thing?
Where I can, I'm gonna stick physical.
Hmm.
Obviously, but as someone who's kind of looking to lean on the virtual console between Zelda and Mario's release, ah, that sucks. That 32 gigs is gonna fill up fast,
Hmm.
especially if they have the Wii games on there as well. So if I have like the Metroid Prime trilogy, if I've got Mario Galaxy on there, I'm full. So
Yeah.
man, that's rough.
Yeah, the 32 is gonna go quickly, especially if a game like Zelda we've heard is going to take 13 14 gigs just by itself there. So
Mhm.
some of these larger like big time Nintendo games, like I'm sure Mario's gonna be a hefty game once that comes out. You're really gonna have to have a decent sized card in order to carry around some of your stuff. So I don't know. I guess we'll figure out what Nintendo's plan is with that as we move through the weeks and months here up leading up to the system's release. But wanted to make sure we clarify that for everybody. So once again, 256 gigabyte micro SD XC cards. You can purchase them right now. They'll be usable in the Switch, and as they continue to build on that, you'll be able to use up to 2 terabytes in this thing once all is said and done. Um, and one of the big things that happened this week with the Switch and with Nintendo guys was at least in my opinion, was Reggie sat down with Time, obviously Time magazine, the big time publication. He sat down, gave a pretty interesting interview. So I want to go through some of the stuff he talked about. I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Um, but they kind of asked him a lot of the questions that a lot of us have about the Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna run through a few things here, and then I'll get your guys' thoughts on them. First question Time asked was, so I can guess based on the marketing videos, but in your own words, who is Nintendo Switch for? This was Reggie's response. Quote, just like every system Nintendo creates, we believe in having a very wide footprint. And we are experienced enough in this industry to know that the footprint changes over time. We believe that by next holiday season, with the launch of Super Mario Odyssey, that the footprint for Nintendo Switch will be very broad. Kids, young adults, parents, gamers will occupy that footprint. But what's going to happen is that space is going to be filled in at each point in time with the subsequent launches. So, for example, if you look at the first 45 days, you've got Zelda 1-2 Switch, Mario Kart 8. So the active gamer, and candidly, the more the active gamer sees, the more excited they are going to be for that game. I was a Zelda fan before I was a Nintendo employee, and I can tell you that as I've experienced that game, it just gets me more and more excited to play. 1-2 Switch is a party in a box, and a very quick party. And so that is going to be an all family type of experience that will then broaden the footprint. And then Mario Kart 8 is going to expand it even further. And so that's what I see happening. A game like ARMS will have a diverse footprint. A game like Xenoblade Chronicles X will be, or Xenoblade Chronicles 2, excuse me, will be much more narrow. And so I think it's the best way I could describe how the consumer base for Switch is going to evolve over time. And certainly by the end of our first full year, it'll be kids, young adults, parents, and gamers occupying that footprint. Um, Time then responded with the games we played at the press event feel very core gamer focused. Reggie responds, yeah, and I read some of the same feedback from the video we launched in October. And it's absolutely true. The actors we had were all young adults, and people suddenly read into it that Nintendo is abandoning the family market with Nintendo Switch. Furthest from the truth. So again, we believe that our systems need to be mass market systems from 5 to 95. These are your ages. A broad footprint. But each game is going to appeal to a certain part of that demographic, and it'll fill out the base. That strategy continues. This is a system for everybody. This is a system that will appeal to a wide group. It's going to get filled in over time as the different games come in. Bender, I want to hop over to you first on this. What are your thoughts on what Reggie had to say here? So, we know Nintendo's always wanted to appeal to a broad market, but do you get the feeling like they're trying to catch the lightning in the bottle with the Wii all over again, or is just kind of just what Reggie needs to say? What do you think about how he answered those questions?
I don't know. Sounds pretty typical of Nintendo, honestly.
Hmm.
Just saying that they want to appeal to everyone and everything. Uh, I mean, they're obviously not focusing primarily on the hardcore gamer with the Switch, but I don't know if they're going so far as to only capture, because I don't know. I don't know if they're going so far as to only capture the casual market with the Switch
Hmm.
either. It seems like they are trying to appeal to a different bunch of different types of people, especially since some of the games that do have motion control also offer like regular controls as well.
Hmm.
So um, I don't know. It's
Yeah, I mean, there's no really right or wrong answer. We don't really know the answer. We'll have to see how the Switch plays out. But um, we talked about a lot before the Switch reveal that Nintendo really needed to speak to the core gamer because those are the people that are going to support your system in the long haul. So yeah, somebody might buy a Switch at launch and buy 1-2 Switch and have fun with their family with it. But is that 1-2 Switch type of gamer, are they going to be there for the long haul, or is this going to be something they pull out at family gatherings every now and then to play that game? You know, so
mhm.
I guess are they doing enough to speak to that core gamer? Obviously, Zelda is a huge game, and a lot of people are excited about it. But not everybody plays Zelda. There has to be more than that. Mario's coming down the line. Mario Kart is a game that actually appeals to both the core and the casual audience. Um, so yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how that all plays out. Frankie, what are your thoughts on this, man? Do you think this is the right strategy for Nintendo at this time? Would you like to see them lean more towards one way or another, or what do you think about what Reggie said here?
It's kind of a difficult thing to think about too. Like looking at like the Wii, like you go back to that, people bought the Wii, got Wii Sports with it, didn't bother playing anything else. And honestly, that's fine. Wii Sports is a great game.
Hmm.
Um, but looking at the Switch, like the cost associated with like owning the system and really diving into the games and buying all the accessories and the Joy-Con, all the prices like to get more people playing games like 1-2 Switch is not exactly that's not light on the wallet if you're buying this thing as a casual you know gaming machine. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know, man. Like, I have a hard time seeing people, going and spending $300 for a Switch. Then you have another $80 for another set of Joy Cons, or more if you're gonna get more Joy-Con controllers. You're looking at $60 for 1-2 Switch. You're probably gonna need some kind of memory card at some point if you're gonna be buying a lot of games.
We also found out that the grip that comes with the Switch doesn't charge the Joy Cons. So if you want a charging grip, they sell that separately. So that's kind of weird. but that's in the mix as well.
Nice. But yeah, I don't know, man. I look at things like 1-2 Switch, and I honestly wonder if that game in particular is going to be as effective as Wii Sports and being like that casual market grabbing title at launch.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like where we're at now, like you look at the price of the Switch, it's comparable to picking up either an Xbox One or a PS4. You look at the libraries available for those systems, and just the future of the Switch, the first year of the Switch lineup, and I have a hard time seeing like actual core gamers looking at the Switch and deciding to pick that up instead of either a PS4 or an Xbox One. Just looking at the software available that's going to be available, the quality of the games that are going to be available, I don't know that the core gamer market is going to react to the Switch as much as Nintendo probably wants them to. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
Zelda and Mario are going to bring those people out, and people like Bender, myself, you who've played Mario, you didn't get a proper Mario game on the Wii U, and the system had to suffer for that. There was no proper Mario, no proper Zelda, up until March 3rd, of course, but that's coming with the new
Metroid.
system. Yeah, no Metroid, Star Fox. They took a dump on Star Fox, so
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I just looking at the way that the Wii U was supported. While yes, there are a lot of great games on the Wii U, I still don't feel like we got a lot of those like great core Nintendo IPs on the Wii U. So I hope that Reggie says Metroid's a series that they love. I would talk about that. The like us out here, like we want games like Star Fox, Metroid. Um, you go back to F-Zero. Like there's a lot of games out there that Nintendo owns that they could bring to the system that might help push that audience. But I just it's confusing looking at the stuff that they're putting out there. Like you brought up before, like who is this system actually supposed to be for? And I don't feel confident even like reading Reggie's response to that question. Like it just seems like he's like, oh well, these games are here, so sure, like anybody. But
Hmm.
it's like if I'm a core gamer buying this thing, like, am I going to see games, coming to this thing, past the next year? If I'm a casual gamer, like, am I going to have something more than 1-2 Switch?
Hmm.
Are they going to try to remake Wii Sports? I'd actually probably buy that, but um, I don't know, man. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. No, I think you're right on there, and you said a lot of good stuff in there. But it was even in the conference, when they came out and they introduced the Switch and they tried to show us it was this amalgam of everything that Nintendo had done up to this point. So it's almost a system with an identity crisis. It wants to be casual, it wants to be hardcore, it wants to be affordable and pick up and play and in depth. It wants to be all those things simultaneously, and I don't know if it's going to be one of those jack of all trades, master of none type of situations where it's trying to do so many different things and then it kind of misses the mark on everything. Um, but yeah, right now, and I said it before the Switch reveal, but what I wanted to see from Nintendo was them focus on the core gamer, and the beginning of that conference was dedicated to HD rumble and haptic feedback and 1-2 switch and stuff like that, which are stuff that I didn't want to see. So yeah, I don't know what the answer to that question is either. I I'd still feel like the Wii and that group of gamers has passed on at this point. Like they're on phones, they're on tablets. Like that's where the casual market it is, and I'm not sure that you're gonna be able to bring them back for another go around with the Switch. So I feel like it's a mistake to put too much stock into that group of people, and you really just need to continue to speak to the core gamer. And when you come out and the only thing that's of interest to a core gamer is probably Zelda for the first 6 months. I mean, Mario Kart's going to be in there, but a lot of people that wanted to play it already have that on the Wii U. So those first 6 months are going to be bare from a core gaming perspective, and I'm not sure that's going to bode well for the system.
If they're expecting 1-2 Switch to capture the casual gamers the way the Wii Sports did, then they should have made it a pack-in game. The Wii
Yeah.
was $100 cheaper when it was first released, and Wii Sports
Hmm.
came with the game with the system for free.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know if they're wanting casual gamers to spend plunk down $300 and then another 60 for a casual game like that. I mean, they should have just made that a pack-in game.
Yeah, dude, and on that, and then I know you want to jump in here, Frankie, but this 1-2 Switch is a $50 game with, from what I understand, 20 mini games on it that last 1 to 2 minutes. Games that you don't even look at the screen for; you have to look at each other. It's so weird that this is another $50 on top of the system, and that it's not a packing game. Go ahead, Franklin.
No, I'm just gonna kind of jump in on you, bringing up, a lot of those people probably migrated to mobile, but like even the ones who have migrated to mobile, just people like mobile games because of the simplicity and the price. You have a lot of
Hmm.
these games that are between nothing and $10 at the most, and you play them on your phone. Like you don't need to carry around a controller. You're not doing anything other than passing like a couple minutes you have free on your phone. That's what a lot of those gamers like to play, and that's what the nice thing about Mario, or not Mario Sports, Wii Sports was, oh cool, I got 20 minutes to kill. We're just sitting here hanging out waiting for a friend to show up. Let's play Wii Bowling real quick. And that was the cool thing about that. But I mean, moving on to mobile, like you mentioned, that even became even more simpler. So
Hmm.
I don't even think the Switch is necessarily geared toward that market because now you got to worry about all these Joy-Con controllers.
Yeah, yeah. So it's in this weird kind of nexus right now where it's in the middle of all this stuff, and it's a little too expensive, and the accessories are grossly overpriced, and there's this core game and this casual game, and yeah, it's kind of all over the place, like you said, man. It's it's really interesting how the Switch has been laid out at this point, and I guess we don't really know the answer. We know that the system's going to sell well when it launches. These systems always do. The Wii U sold 3 million consoles when it first launched, so that was it had a successful launch, but it just after that was where the problems came in, and I'm not seeing a lot from the Switch that's going to show me that this is going to be different this time around, but we'll just have to wait and see. Um, let's get on to the next question I want to delve into here, though. It concerns third-party support. So, Time asked Reggie, Nintendo has pointed to 80 third-party Switch games in development. Given similar messaging around the Wii U, how do you reassure a nervous public that you're covered this time? Obviously, we're part of this nervous public, as we've discussed on many occasions. So, this is Reggie's response. I think, in all candor, as executives, we can only say so much, and then the consumer believes or doesn't believe. However, if the question is Nintendo first party development, I can say that our pipeline is quite robust in what we are working on and what we will deliver next year and early into the year after that. We have that visibility in our pipeline. From a third party perspective, I don't want to oversimplify things, but third party developers look for a handful of things. First, they look for a straightforward development environment in order to create their games, and that was one of the challenges with Wii U. Now, with Nintendo Switch, we have Unity as a platform. We've got the Unreal Engine as a platform. These are known development environments for content creators to build content. The second thing they look for is a consumer demographic that's going to meet their needs for the content they're creating. And so, again, you've got Zelda for the core, you've got 1-2 Switch for the family audience, you've got ARMS, you've got Splatoon, you've got Mario Kart 8, you've got Super Mario Odyssey. That looks like a pretty wide and diverse audience to build content for. And third, they look for a large install base. That's what we're trying to create. And then lastly, they look for a full range of ways to monetize their investment. And that's where having a robust online environment comes in. And again, we are pushing the envelope. We're doing things differently, and we're working hard to make sure that environment exists. So, as an executive for the company, I believe we're doing everything we need to create that environment for third parties. So far, they're reacting extremely positively. Bethesda hasn't been on a Nintendo platform. A fully featured FIFA, that has not been on a Nintendo console in some time. So, Bender, I go to you again. Your thoughts on what Reggie had to say about the third parties here.
Um, I hope he's right. And I mean, if they,
Is this a lot of like coach speak? Do you think there's some truth behind these statements, or is this kind of Reggie flapping his gums?
I think one thing he's definitely right about is that it needs a large install base because
Hmm.
that will kind of draw third party developers in, even if the Switch is not as powerful as the PS4 or the Xbox
Oh yeah,
One.
I mean we saw it
Um,
with the Wii, right? The Wii
yeah.
wasn't as powerful as the PS3, the Xbox 360, but there were tons of people developing games for that thing because 100 million people had it in their homes.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that can definitely help. So I really hope that they do get a pretty large install base. I hope a lot of people will pick up this thing. Just that would help with the health of the system. So yeah, I mean, even if third-party developers can't do like direct ports of their games that they have on other consoles, they can develop original games for it, or they'll be more willing to develop games specifically for the Switch. So I think that
Mhm.
would be good. Um, so it's kind of a catch-22. I mean, they need the install base for third-party developers to be there, but they kind of need third-party games to be on there to get the install base. So
Yeah,
we'll have to see how it plays out, but I hope it does well. I hope they have that third party support.
they've also got their recent history to deal with as well. So I'm sure third parties are looking at Nintendo platforms, being like, this has not been a lucrative investment for the past few years when it comes to a Nintendo platform. So it's going to be one of those things. Put your money where your mouth is on in terms of this. Franklin, what do you think about what Reggie had to say here?
Yeah, like Bender, I agree that the definitely the install base problem might be a turn off for a lot of third parties at some point. But I think my biggest problem with third party support on like even the Wii U is a lot of these games that they bring over they're not new games. They're not even recent games a lot of the time. You know, like yes, Dragon Ball Xenoverse just
Rayman
came out.
Legends.
Yeah, Rayman Legends. Dragon Ball Xenoverse came out in October, but we don't have a release date for the Switch. It's not a launch title. I assume that
Mhm.
one's still a ways out. So, but who knows? By the time the thing comes out, it could be a year old. It's just I feel like outside of FIFA 17's already out too, isn't it? Like they're a year ahead, so 17's already
Yeah,
out, right?
yeah. The last FIFA's out. The new one will be out in September or August, whenever they release it.
So I don't know. Like people have to be looking at some of this stuff. Like I already bought this game on another platform. Why do I need to buy it on my Nintendo system? You know, and
Mhm.
even looking at something like Skyrim, like if you wanted to play Skyrim, you've probably already played Skyrim by now. Like I understand Brent is excited to take the game on the go with him, but I don't know, man. A lot of third party stuff just concerns me because I just knowing that the system is what it is. And Ubisoft has done it before where they've like Zombie was initially a Wii U exclusive. Rayman Legends
Mhm.
was supposed to be a Wii U exclusive, but because of the install base, they delayed the game, put it on every other platform, then brought it to the Wii U. It's just that install base number, I think, is the most critical thing of everything Reggie had to say. So I I hope he understands just how critical that number actually is. Um, but yeah, I personally I look at Sega as the one that kind of does it right with them. Looking at like Bayonetta 2, I think Sega published Wonderful 101. I may be mistaken, but they seem to bring out games that are exclusive to that system that take advantage of the features and the power set that the system has to offer. So I kind of want to see more publishers just going that route where sure, maybe you're not putting out Call of Duty, but you find something else that'll find an actual like audience on that system.
Yeah, and that's the tough proposition for third parties right now with the Switch. Is it's so grossly underpowered when you compare it to the PS4 and the Xbox One, much less the PS4 Pro or the eventual Scorpio that we're going to see at the end of this year. So there's such a wide gamut between what that system can do. So in order for them to put their games onto the Switch, they're either A, going to have to make a completely new game that's specifically designed for it, which is a very tough proposition when you've got 50 plus million people that own a PS4 and 30, 40, however many million people own an Xbox. And you've got those 90 to 100 million people sitting there that you can make a game for, or you can cater to the 2 million people that just bought a Switch at launch. So it's a very tough proposition to make an exclusive game for a system without an established base for Nintendo, who has struggled with install base throughout the Wii U. So I just right now I just don't see how they get third parties on there. I just don't see it. Um, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. All right, next question. And this is a really interesting one here. Time asks Reggie, thinking about online gamer profiles and achievements and legacy content purchased online. Will Switch include a meta layer that follows players around and lets them keep those purchases? This is Reggie's response. First, there is much more that we will be sharing about our subscription service, the mechanics, the types of content that you'll get access to, free on a monthly basis, the price point for the overall service, all of that information will come. Second point, as you know, we are very aware of what the consumer has articulated to date as to what they want. We are very aware of what our competitors do. The way Nintendo thinks about it is we want to make the consumer happy, and we want to give them some of the elements that they have been asking for. And we want to give them things that they haven't even thought of to ask. But we also believe in differentiated experiences. We also believe in doing things differently. And so our overall proposition will not look the same as our competitors. But what we will do is we will recognize what consumers like about our competitors. We will look to do it in a way that has a Nintendo flair to it. And we will look to make sure that in the end, we've got this robust online environment that not only works well for our games, like Splatoon and Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, which, by the way, they haven't talked about for the system, but Reggie threw it out there. But that also works great for our third-party developers. So, Bender, I go to you again. This is a very, very interesting statement here with a lot of stuff to kind of parse from it. What stood out to you from what Reggie said here in terms of online achievements, legacy content, all that stuff?
It's kind of hard to determine because he's not really saying much of anything. I mean, because like
that's kind of Reggie's job, right? Is to kind of say stuff without saying stuff.
Yeah. This is one of the things I was thinking of when I said there's a lot of unanswered questions still. Because I mean, I like that he says, we want to give gamers some of the elements that they've been asking for, but then he says, well, we also want to do things differently. We want to look at what our competitors are doing, but we don't want to do exactly what our competitors are doing. I mean, so it's like, what are we going to get? I mean, what are we going to get with this online system? Are we going to have an achievement system or not? I mean, I like it. He said, we will look to do it in a way that has a Nintendo flair to it. That sounds cool. I mean, if they say, okay, well, we're going to have an achievement system, it's going to work a little bit different than the way the PlayStation and Xbox ones do, but it'll be a Nintendo's own thing. I'd be okay with that. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing.
And I think that's what we want. Like, I think we want Nintendo to put their own spin on the achievement system. We want an achievement system, but we want it with Nintendo's version of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, he's using a lot of words to say not much, and I wish they would just come out and say exactly what they're going to be doing so we can know what to expect. But it's a little confusing.
I mean, like we talked about at the Switch reveal, it's really weird that they didn't just answer these questions at that time. Like, I'm not sure what they're waiting for, unless they just don't have this together yet. If they're still trying to figure this out, and that's been a point of concern for a lot of people as well. That maybe the Switch is kind of a rush job. Like, maybe this is something that should be coming out in the fall. Like, maybe they're trying to get it out so that they can get Zelda out. Like, that's what they want to do. They want to get Zelda out with the system. But when you look at the slim launch lineup, the fact that the online service is not ready, that they still haven't answered many of the questions we have about the system, it almost seems like this thing probably is not going to be fully ready for another like 6 months. And maybe it would have been better as a holiday system coming out at that time instead. But Zelda is kind of and I would tend to agree with that. Like, Zelda's kind of forcing their hand here. Like, they want to get this thing out.
I'm not going to complain about having Zelda earlier, but I mean, they definitely have a record of releasing their systems in November. I mean, I think the Wii and the Wii U both were released in November, so it's very possible that was their original plan, and they just had to kind of rush it out there. Which I hadn't thought about that, but that kind of makes sense. But again, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. So Franklin, some interesting stuff in here, and what I want to key in on here is when Reggie says, we are very aware of what our competitors do. The way Nintendo thinks about it is we want to make the consumer happy, and we want to give them some of the elements that they have been asking for. He also says, like Bender mentioned, we recognize what consumers like about our competitors. We will look to do it in a way that has a Nintendo flair to it. So, to me, when I'm reading that sure as hell sounds like an achievement system, right? Everybody loves achievements and trophies, even if they don't actively search for them. Like, it's a feature that people enjoy. People like being able to kind of track their progress across consoles or across their gaming history. They like being able to see what games they've conquered and all that. Like all that stuff's fun to compare it to your friends. Like it's a great system, and it, I don't think anybody would balk if Nintendo decided to include that with their system here. So I don't know. What do you think, man? What do you think about what he's saying here?
I think, and I've heard, this has been like a rumor thing before, but like they kind of want to maybe reward players for like completing games, like getting that platinum trophy or something. Like Nintendo, like might want to look at something like, oh well, you can download this exclusive thing from the eShop for completing this game. Kind of like PlayStation's toyed around with, like with Bloodborne. If you got the platinum, you get
Yeah.
a pretty cool theme.
That's awesome. I
yeah.
love that idea.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Nintendo was looking at some way to do that, where they kind of reward gamers who want to go through and like get all the stars in Mario and find all the secret levels and all the hidden things in the games. Like, I think they're probably looking at a way to maybe kind of reward the people who truly get into their games, and I think that's great if that's true. If that's what they want to do, that'd be great. He's talking to Time Magazine, and the fact that he's still not answering a lot of questions. I felt like this is probably a good time to maybe kind of talk about that a little bit. Like, Time Magazine has a pretty wide reach. Why wouldn't you just flat out talk about it?
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, like talk about your network a little bit, man. Like, your system comes out in, where are we at here? So, a little over a month. What are we waiting for? Like you said, like I hope that this thing isn't just like a total train wreck at this point, and that's why we're avoiding really digging into it. I honestly, like, looking at it, I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted the Switch and Zelda out like last November and they just pushed it to now.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot of head scratching. It's a lot of we just can't quite figure out what Nintendo's trying to do here, and I think that's a very big possibility that this thing is just not ready, and they're just trying to get this out because the Wii U. I mean, the Wii U died last year for all intents and purposes. So they didn't have a home console for the holiday season. That's unheard of. You have to think of what the investors were thinking when they came to them with that idea. Yeah, like look, guys, we're not going to sell a console for the holidays. Sorry. Catch you guys next year.
Here's a new 3DS bundle, though.
Yeah, new 3DS bundle. Which I don't even think they had 3DSs in stores for the holidays. I didn't see any of them there.
Those things sold out. Those things sold.
Yeah, they sold. They sold that really cool $99 3DS, which I bought my boys for Christmas. They wanted one, so they've been enjoying that. So yeah, they should do more of that stuff to get that into people's hands. But the other thing, the other side of this message is the Smash Brothers thing in here, man. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I don't think it's any surprise that they're thinking about Smash Brothers for the Switch. We've heard the rumor for a long time that they're going to port over the Wii U Smash Brothers. Maybe they'll do something to it, or maybe it'll just be the exact same game. We don't know. What do you make of Reggie saying that here? Is that just kind of a slip of the tongue, or is this thing maybe coming out sooner rather than later? Frankie, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with slip of the tongue. But
I mean, he threw it in there. He threw it in there with Splatoon and Mario Kart.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he knew what he was doing, but you gotta drum up like that interest somehow. My question though is, when does the GameCube controller adapter follow?
Yeah. Well, if they bring out Smash Brothers, they're gonna have to. But I don't know. It might be cumbersome with the Switch. We'll have to see.
Then again, that Pro controller actually seems like a decent controller for it.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be fine to play it on.
Bender, what do you GameCube Joy-Cons that slide onto the sides?
Yeah.
Oh man,
there we go.
Didn't somebody make a picture of that, like a concept drawing? Yeah.
Yeah. They made a concept drawing of a whole bunch of different types of controllers that slide onto it.
That would be hilarious. That's actually not a bad idea though, to kind of create different controllers that can slide onto the side of it there for different types of games. So it's not a bad thought. Yeah. What do you think, Bender, though, about Reggie throwing out Smash Brothers there? Slip of the tongue? Is this, you read more into this? Is this much ado about nothing?
Oh, I'm sure that's definitely going to be coming. There's going to be some sort of definitive edition of Smash Brothers that has all the DLC. I mean, we already know it reads Amiibo on the Joy-Con controller, and they haven't even released all of the Smash Brothers series of Amiibo anyway. So I mean, I imagine.
Who are they still waiting on?
Bayonetta and
Cloud.
Corrin and Cloud, yeah, are all still haven't been
Oh, really?
released.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. um, but yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be some sort of version of Smash Brothers on the Switch. I have no doubt about that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was just this particular answer here gave me a little bit of hope because when people talk about what they like on Microsoft or on Xbox Live, on PSN, I would have to assume that an achievement system is pretty high on the list of things that they like. So, and I know that they hear people clamoring for this thing. We've been asking for achievement system for the last 10 years from Nintendo. So they have to have be hearing this. I mean, it's one of the things about the Switch reveal that made me just like kind of just like, what? Like, don't you hear people asking for this? I know you have to. Like, why would you not include this in your system? You just have to be ignoring us on purpose. But maybe there is something in the works, and also part of this. Can we please get a unified account system? Like, can that please be a thing? Why that hasn't been talked about or why that's not a thing as we sit right now is very concerning. But can that please be a thing, Nintendo? Can we please get into 2017 and get a single unified account system? And because even the way it's set up right now is very confusing with the Nintendo ID and the Nintendo account, and then your what's the other thing? My Nintendo. So they got all these different things, and it took me forever to set up that 3DS for my kids. So I couldn't figure out what the hell like ID I was supposed to use or which account was what. I'm just like, man, very, very, very cumbersome. So I really hope that they get their online act together with the Nintendo Switch, man. There's some other interesting stuff in this Time article. I would definitely recommend that you check it out if you haven't read it yet. It's got some interesting answers from Reggie in there. So now check it out. Just Google Reggie interview Time. It'll pop up on Google there, and you guys can read the rest of that. But those are the main things I wanted to hit on from there. A couple other things we want to touch on from the Switch this week. Nintendo confirmed, which was no surprise to any of us, that matchmaking and creating lobbies on Nintendo Switch will be done through the smartphone app. this is this is Reggie's response to that, which people have been having fun with. But he said, "quote The smartphone app that we're creating that will be part of our online service, we believe is going to be a very compelling part of the overall proposition because that's how you'll voice chat. That's how you'll do your matchmaking and create your lobby. We also think it's a very elegant solution because if you've taken your Switch on the go, you've put yourself in a hotspot, you're looking at getting a quick match of Mario Kart in, to whip out some sort of bulky gamer headset is a bit of a challenge." So I don't know what Reggie was thinking, but I'm not sure that any of us were thinking, "Hey man, I'm gonna carry around my Astro headset with me, with my Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch." It's like no, we just want to plug some headphones into the thing and talk to people on like the iPhone thing. Like that's what we're looking to do. But
Yeah.
in his mind, it's much more convenient to then have to pull out your phone and do all that stuff through your phone, which literally makes zero sense. But when Reggie was saying it, he was so confident. He was like, "This makes a lot of sense the way I'm delivering this message to you," and it really doesn't. I just thought that was funny. Um, Bender, any thoughts on this pretty asinine statement?
No, I've just been thinking more about this, and it just gets more confounding the more I think about it. Um, why can't they just put the voice chat app on the Switch itself? I mean,
That's what I
I,
don't get.
I don't understand that either. I was thinking about this as like, okay, let's say I'm playing the Switch, I'm sitting at McDonald's and I'm on a Wi-Fi hotspot. I'm playing the Switch, I'm playing an intense, intense race of Mario Kart, voice chatting with Frankie, and then my mom calls. I get a phone call. Is it gonna interrupt the voice chat? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be able to continue in the middle. It's gonna interrupt my game. I mean, I don't know about your phone, but if I get a phone call, it interrupts whatever app I have open,
Yeah.
and I don't want to have to like turn on the do not disturb setting every time I want to play a game,
I know.
so I don't get phone calls in. I shouldn't have to do that. I don't
Hmm.
know. It's just so weird. Hopefully they'll look back at this in a few months or a year and be like, you know what? Let's just put an app on the Switch for the voice chat. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's so weird that you have to do all that stuff through your phone. And yeah, and I'm right there with you, man. I have the same concerns. Like, is the game audio going to be going through your phone when you get a call? What happens? You know, all that kind of stuff is all going through my head. And I'm sure it's going through many people's heads. Franklin, what do you think of this statement?
Why? I just don't understand how doesn't somebody you are prepping to give this speech, like, doesn't somebody like say like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. So let me get this straight. So I'm going to be paying a subscription service to use this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tied to my phone, not my actual system that I'm paying for the subscription for.
Seems that way.
How does this make sense?
I don't know. Made sense to Reggie.
Ah,
This is a value proposition to Switch gamers.
I mean, I could understand on the go, it might maybe somehow make sense a little bit somewhere. Because at least on your phone, you have like a constant connection. I don't know, man. But if I'm docking the system at home, why can't I hook my headphones up and just do it? Why do I have to have my phone? Why can't I just do it like, straight from the system if it's docked?
Yeah, then it just becomes cumbersome to then have to have the Switch and your phone, and when you're on the go, you gotta have both of those things like going simultaneously, and it just seems very very awkward. I don't know. I'm really interested to see how when they eventually show us how this all works. I'm really
Yeah.
interested to see what the actual system is and how easy it's gonna be to use and that kind of stuff. So.
It's like, did they not focus test this? It's like, I imagine a group of gamers getting together, like testing out this new phone app, and be like, people use their phone for other things.
Yeah. I know. Seriously, man. That's it's very strange. Just part of Nintendo's charm, I guess, right?
Yes. We'll see.
Oh boy. Yeah, so we'll have to see how that plays out. All right, some other stuff from the world of Switch. So we now know Zelda will run at 900p when docked and at 720p when on the go. Obviously, that's the resolution on the handheld screen. We also know that Zelda will be locked at 30 frames, whether it's on the go or on the TV. They also noted some other differences between the Wii U version of the game. So the Wii U version will render in 720p. Will run at 30 frames. Same content between both copies of the game. The Switch version will actually have higher quality environmental sounds. So the sound of like steps, water, grass, all that kind of stuff, more realistic, enhances the game's open air feel. The physical copy of the Wii U version will require a 3 GB install or 3 gigs of memory on the system. And some of the icons differ between the two versions, but for the most part, it sounds like game's pretty much the same. Just a bump in resolution and audio quality when it comes to the Switch. What do you think about that, Bender? Is that pretty much what you're expecting?
Yeah, I think 720p on a handheld screen is gonna still look great.
Oh yeah, it's gonna look awesome on there.
Yeah. So I'm okay with that, and having higher quality sound and everything. I'll be glad that I got the Switch version of the game. So yeah.
Frankie, any concern that as we sit here in 2017, that your Zelda game is going to be in 900p instead of 1080p? I know it's not the end of the world, but as we get into this, Scorpio PS4 Pro type of stuff, we're going to be moving up to even higher resolutions, and this thing's not even hitting 1080p now. Any concerns about that?
Not really. More so just because knowing Nintendo, they're going to be focusing on the game's performance, which that's more of a concern to me than resolution. So I look at an open world game like Fallout, The Witcher, like games like that are probably comparable in scale to Zelda, and those have a lot of open world jank to them. And if Nintendo puts out a 900p Zelda game with none of that, I'd prefer that, honestly.
Yeah.
I may be in the minority there, I don't know, but
I think the other thing these games have on their side, they have these like stylized looks. Like this is not an ultra realistic Witcher type of game. It is a very stylized look. Mario is gonna have a very stylized look when that comes out. So it's not something I think I don't think it'd be the end of the world. There are some people that are concerned that they don't know how this is going to look on like their 4K TVs. Obviously, that's going to become the standard as we go over the next few years. So there is some thought that maybe this won't look right on those screens, but I haven't heard one way or another about that yet. That's another interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, they did confirm that Mario Kart 8 is going to run at 1080p when
Yes.
docked. So it's not like the Switch
Yeah.
can't output at 1080p. It's just
Yeah.
like Frankie said. I think they're focusing more on performance for Zelda, which I'm
hmm
okay with.
Yeah. It'll be 60 frames too, which is cool. So it's 1080p, 60 frames on Mario Kart. I
Hmm.
think the the bigger question going forward is what happens to these like new games. Mario Kart 8 it was a Wii U game, and they upgraded it for the Switch. But what happens to like one of these current games that's being developed? Are we going to be always sub 1080p? Are we gonna? There's been some talk that maybe Mario is 720p on a screen as well. Not 100% sure if that's just the unoptimized version of the game or what, but it's something to think about as we move into this age where these newer TVs are going to become the standard. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but from what I've heard, it seems at least to me right now, like the handheld experience seems like the primary experience or even the best way to experience the Switch as we stand at this point in time. Do you get that same feeling, Bender? Or do you think from what you've seen right now, this is still going to be an excellent like TV experience?
I don't know. Uh, I think it'll be fine. For me, it'll be fine at least. I mean, I'm not a huge like I'm not a graphics whore or anything. So I mean, as long as it looks decent, I'll
hmm
be okay with it.
I know what we've heard is and Frankie, you talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, but how some of these games may not look the best on the Switch. Like I've heard reports about stuff like Skylanders looking blurry on the Switch when people were playing it on the TV at the event there. This is a game that's already been out on several other platforms. So if something like this is looking blurry on the television screen, I'm not sure how that bodes for the rest of the at least the third party output for this thing.
Hmm.
Any of those concerns you share?
Maybe, just because I am primarily going to be playing that thing docked.
hmm
But also I'm not going to be buying Skylanders or these third-party games on the Switch. So
Yeah.
as long as Nintendo is, fairly consistent in making sure that the docked experience is just as quality as the handheld experience, I'm not going to make problems. I do understand like they're kind of pushing this as a mobile thing because, like we've kind of theorized before, like this thing eventually the 3DS is going to. I would assume Nintendo kind of wants that market to get the
hmm
Switch, and that's going to kind of unify their console and handheld markets. So
hmm
I understand them wanting to really kind of get out there like, hey, this thing is a really great handheld, but for guys like me who aren't really going to be taking this thing on the go all that often, I do want like reassurance, like, hey, don't worry if you're just going to have this thing docked. Obviously Zelda's going to run at a
Yeah.
nice looking resolution. I hope games like Mario, obviously Mario Kart 8 is going to be 1080 60. That's great.
hmm
I do want to see like a consistent, don't worry if you're a home console gamer, we got you.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, man. You know, I don't actually get a chance to carry a portable with me at work or anything. I don't have any opportunity to really play games when I'm at my job. So for the most part, unless I'm on a trip or something like that, I wouldn't be looking to play the game handheld. I mean, I like the fact that I can take it upstairs and I can be with the family and sit on the couch and we can play a game together with the kids or whatever. Like that's cool. But there's gonna be times where I'm going to want to play games on my TV, and I'm gonna want that experience to be excellent, like I'm used to on these other consoles. So there is some concerns there, uh, and I'm sure Nintendo realized that as well. And they've been pushing this thing as a home console. Like Reggie said it several times. Like, look, this is our next home console that you can take on the go. Like they're putting the home console before the portable part of this. And actually, something else interesting I wanted to ask you guys about, but it came out last week that I think it was Reggie who was talking about this, but he was talking about the long life ahead of the 3DS. Like he was saying that there's games in the pipeline that we don't know about yet. We saw it on the Fire Emblem Direct, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But it seems like there's other games that Nintendo is working on for this thing, and it's unclear right now if it's just games that they were already developing, or if they really hope to kind of continue the 3DS alongside the Switch which I believe goes against what was going to be one of the coolest features of the Switch, which was the entire might of Nintendo's development force behind it. You know, so I don't know if you guys saw that interview or if you saw those comments. Bender, I want to get your thoughts on that real quick. Is there any concern with that? Do you think Nintendo should just um kind of let the 3DS ride off into the sunset, like maybe over the next year, or do you think that they're going to try and like really keep this thing around for a while because it is able to pull people in at a significantly cheaper price point?
Um, I I honestly think that they will kind of let it kind of phase it out
Hmm.
after the next year or so. I mean, 3DS has been around for 5 or 6 years now. It's been
Yeah.
had a good long life.
Hmm.
I know I've said this before, but I mean they can't come out and say, well, 3DS is dead. After next year, there's going to be no more 3DS games. They're not going to say that. I mean, they want to keep selling them. They want people to buy them, thinking that there's going to be games in the future, which I'm sure there are going to be some. But I think my opinion is that they are going to start to phase that thing out. After maybe a year or so from now, and then
Hmm.
and then they will kind of be all hands on deck with the Switch, which
Yeah.
which will be great. If I want them to do that. I want them to put all their might behind the Switch and churn out a bunch of games, and that'll get more people to want to buy this thing.
Yeah, I want them to do that too because honestly, they're probably going to need that because the third party situation obviously very shaky as we stand right now. We don't know where the future of that lies. But if Nintendo themselves can put the entire might of their very very capable development force behind this one machine, they could theoretically crank out you know just game after game after game that people are going to want to get on this machine, and that's an exciting proposition. Frankie, let me ask you this though: would there be any fear from Nintendo of kind of putting all of their eggs in the Switch basket and leaving the 3DS out, or kind of finishing out its life cycle? Because they might be scared of how this is going to go. I mean, can they really do that? Can they eliminate the 3DS from the equation and just focus on the Switch, or would they be worried that if this thing doesn't do well, they're going to be just kind of just out of luck across both the living room and the handheld experience?
That's actually one of the reasons I think like they have a foreseeable plan for the 3DS.
Hmm.
I do think they kind of want to see how the Switch plays out. If people take to that thing, if it continues to sell, if it picks up momentum like the original Wii did, then I think sure maybe another 2-3 years we kind of see the 3DS kind of start getting phased out. But if the Switch continues the trend of the Wii U, where it's kind of like a middling performer, um, I could totally see Nintendo shifting focus to maybe pushing more of the new 3DS because you look at that thing and we think it has like two exclusive games on it, like Runbow and Xenoblade. So I could see them also like just completely going back to that thing and being like, "Hey, you picked this thing up, here's," and going hard on putting games out for that. If I could also see that happening. And honestly, I mean, the 3DS has an install base. There's people who are going to show up. Those Pokemon games are going to sell gangbusters like they always do. Um, even if bringing them to the Switch is cool, I just Nintendo, if they're going to support the system that's carrying them. So if the 3DS continues to be that system, I would not at all be surprised to see that thing get a second wind, and them
Hmm.
kind of actually put things on the new 3DS.
Yeah, it's very 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 interesting proposition that or situation that Nintendo finds himself in right now. I'm going to be very fascinated to watch how they handle this all and how they and how this all plays out. Um, other thing I want to touch on here with the Switch before we take a break here is that is just this situation with third parties that we've talked about. We actually the Binding of Isaac was added to the launch lineup, so that will now be coming out with the system. Shovel Knight's going to be there during the launch window. Um,
Nice.
Bomberman, a confirmed price now at $50. So yeah, yeah, yay us.
Okay.
um, and then we saw some troubling stuff though from the third party side of things this week. Gearbox said doesn't sound like Borderlands 3 will be coming to the Switch. In fact, I believe the way they phrased it was Nintendo has other priorities. So I don't know if Gearbox just has a poor relationship with Nintendo or what, but that was kind of an interesting way to phrase things. It sounds like they actually want to try and work with Nintendo on stuff, but maybe Nintendo's not interested. So that's an interesting wrinkle. We obviously know EA is going to be there at launch, but they're only putting out FIFA. But if you read between the lines of what Soderlund is saying here, it basically just sounds like, hey, we're gonna try FIFA on this thing, and if it succeeds, we'll put other stuff on there. If it doesn't, we won't. So here's what he said: we have the benefit of being a platform agnostic company. We will be at whatever platform the consumers are. New hardware is always a positive for our industry. It allows us to push forward. This was in the midst of a statement about how great Nintendo was and how they're always doing stuff different and yada 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 yada. But basically, this is the crux of the matter right here. We will be at whatever platform the consumers are. Like you guys talked about earlier in the show, getting that install base up is going to be key to getting any of these developers to even think about porting a game or making a game on the Nintendo Switch. And then we got the the most interesting third party response of the week, and that's from Respawn when when somebody was inquiring, who is this drunk tech review on YouTube. This was Muhammad Alavi from Respawn. When asked about whether a Titanfall 2 port to Switch was possible, he said no. No. No, you're not going to be able to fit Titanfall on it. That's the same Zelda from Wii U. Laughs. He went on to further state, I was excited about it. This is about the Switch because Nintendo's been in such a niche market recently, like, catering to the handheld. And I'm going to be honest with you, the kids, they've been so underpowered that they don't have the support of the third parties because they're all making for PC, Xbox One, and PS4, and Switch is no different. So, that this is straight from the mouth of a big time third party developer. Bender, what do you think about that, man? Does this does this confound the third party situation even further? Do you think maybe Respawn is being a little bit over the top here? What do you think?
They're being rude. No.
You're not wrong.
I mean, is this representative, do you think, of the majority of what the third parties are thinking right now when it comes to Switch? Is this kind of the pulse of the third party development community?
I don't know about the majority, but I mean, I'm sure there are some out there who have that viewpoint. But I mean, Nintendo claims there's 80 third party developed games in the works, so, and we haven't seen them yet. But I mean, we'll see who those are from, but I don't know.
Yeah, Frankie, what do you think about Respawn's comments?
That's rough, man. That's the same Wii U Zelda.
Yeah, they pulled no punches in that comment.
Yeah, I mean, wow. It's kind of, I don't want to throw any shade at Titanfall 2 because I love that game, but like as a like looking at that game like compared to other shooters, like it's not it's maybe not as like the highest quality shooter. So kind of hearing that Titanfall 2 on the Switch would be a stretch. And like I said, I love Titanfall 2. I think that game looks and runs great, but knowing that a game that's not quite the budget of like a Call of Duty or even the Battlefield games isn't going to run well on the Switch, but doesn't bode too well for any of the other games. So I do think that there's definitely like a little maybe of a wider picture to be painted from what he had to say. But I mean, even still, I also wonder, like, even looking at a game like Titanfall, looking at where it performed, like, would it even help putting a version of that out on the Switch? It didn't really sell well, on the PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One. Would a Switch version really be beneficial to a game like that? And not even just Titanfall, but going like Call of Duty, going like Battlefield. Would a version of those games on a Nintendo platform really be anything that would light the world on fire? Like, is it worth the development time of going back and essentially dumbing down a game to put it on this platform?
Yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, that's just I personally I feel like there's probably a lot of developers that are thinking what Respawn's thinking when it comes to the Switch. It's going to be that case that we talked about. Like, can they get enough systems out into the wild where people will consider making a Switch specific title? I think that's what it's going to come down to, because as these companies continue to, or these developers continue to strive for the next great thing, and these systems continue to get more and more powerful, the prospects of getting their game onto the Switch just becomes just impossible. So we'll see how it all plays out. Some very, very interesting stuff with the Switch. Couple other notes here. Zelda will be the last Nintendo game for the Wii U. Not shocking. So that's pretty much what we thought. So the Wii U will pretty much be officially have the kibosh put on it once Zelda releases. I think that's about it for the Switch. Good discussion there, guys. We're going to take a quick break. We've got some music from Ruel Ethan. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. And we'll be right back after this.
Stop playing with these niggas.
Welcome back. Thank you again to Ruel Ethan for the intermission there. He provides the intermission music, the intro, the closing of the show. Very, very talented guy. Check him out once again on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. He makes some great music. We always appreciate his contributions to the show here. Fellas, we've talked Switch, but we are not done with Nintendo, because there was a Fire Emblem Nintendo Direct this week. So we heard about it. It was right after the Switch reveal. They talked about they were going to do a Fire Emblem Direct, and weren't quite sure what we were going to see in the video. We thought maybe we'd see Fire Emblem Warriors, which they talked about at the Switch reveal very, very briefly. Yeah, we saw a few things from the world of Fire Emblem, so let's hop into what was discussed here. First off, they showed Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia, which was announced for the 3DS, alongside a new set of Fire Emblem amiibo for what's that guy's name? Alm and Celica. So, Bender, get some new amiibos for your collection there, huh?
Sure.
You eyeing those? And I know
don't
you are.
Those Zelda ones, though.
I've already pre-ordered the Zelda ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
shocking.
did I.
Shocking that they would have been pre-ordered. But yeah, so this game is apparently based on 1992's Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was I guess an NES game. So this is some type of a remake or a reimagining of that game for the 3DS, and it's gonna hit the eShop May 19th. Like I said, there'll be some new amiibos available with it as well. Bender, I know you haven't gotten into the Fire Emblem series. Is this something that you want to try to get into? Or do you have any interest in this series at all?
I do. It's just something I've just never really jumped into, but I've heard good things, so
Yeah.
I've got to jump in at some point. So I'm gonna have to pick a game and just jump in, check it out, and see what it's all about. I think I may have briefly played some Fire Emblem game at some point because I know the basic mechanics of how it works, but
Hmm.
I've never spent too much time in it, but at some point I'm gonna have to check out a Fire Emblem game and just see if I like it.
Awakening is a good one.
Yeah, that one reviewed very well. Did a very, very high Metacritic score. So I know a lot of people really loved that one. Last one reviewed pretty well. I mean, they all reviewed pretty well for the most part. So they sound like they're always a pretty solid strategy go-to. So we've got a new one. And once again, this is for the 3DS. This is kind of what we talked about a little bit in the last segment. 3DS still has games, still has some substantial games that are going to be coming to it. And, we'll have to see if that kind of trickles off towards the end of this year. Then we'll get a better idea of what their plan is for that machine. But in addition to that, we saw Fire Emblem Warriors, which obviously we saw at the Switch conference, and even before that, they put this little, basically the narrator was like, "Hey, we're making a Fire Emblem game for the Switch, like a real one. It's coming in 2018. Now let's get on to the next game." So they just threw out that they're making a Fire Emblem game. I don't even know if they've started it yet. This seemed to me like just something like, "Hey, we want to make a game for the Switch. It's going to be out at some point. 2018 might even be generous on that. I don't know. Is that the kind of same feeling you got, Bender, from that?"
Yeah. They have nothing about it yet to show, but it's like, okay, this is in the works. We're planning it, so stay
Yeah,
tuned.
and they've got all these other Fire Emblem games they're making that they showed at this direct. So it just seems like how many people are making Fire Emblem games right now? Like it's
Yeah.
usually just that one developer, right?
Hmm.
And they're making the 3DS one that's about to come out. So I'd assume that they want to finish that one before they hop into the Switch, but I don't know. Then like I said, they talked about Fire Emblem Warriors, and as we suspected, it looks exactly like all of these other games that we've seen before. It's Fire Emblem characters doing Dynasty Warrior stuff. So they're just tackling just these hordes of enemies. And I continue to be dumbfounded that people continue to buy these games. Not because they're bad games, but there's so many of them. There's
Yeah.
literally like 30 of these games. And they all are basically the exact same things with little twists here and there. And they must keep selling because they keep making these games. Hyrule Warriors, I'm guessing, was a success for them. So they went back to the well with this one and
Yeah,
decided
I
to do it with
guess.
Fire Emblem characters. So the other interesting thing about this is that this is coming to the new 3DS as well. It's only for the new 3DS, not for the regular 3DS. So if you have a new 3DS, you'll be able to get Fire Emblem Warriors as well. Um, I want to get your thoughts on that, Frankie. Does that say anything, either good or bad, about maybe the power of the Switch, or if this game that they're making for the system can also be ran on a new 3DS?
I mean, I know
Yeah.
the new 3DS is a significantly more powerful than the base 3DS,
Mhm.
but I don't know enough about like Tigra and a lot of the innards of the Switch to really know how comparable it is to whatever's powering the new 3DS.
Mhm.
But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because I know the new 3DS. I know Nintendo's not taking advantage of the power in it, but um, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't like Hyrule Warriors when that came out, it was on. If you played it on the new 3DS, it was fine, but like the original 3DS, like had a really hard time running that game.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
you are correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
So
another game we saw release on the 3DS and the Wii U. So
Mhm.
I don't know, Bender, you got any thoughts on the game coming to the 3DS as well? Is that a red flag at all for you, or is that just a cool thing for new 3DS owners?
Not. It's not necessarily a red flag, and
Hmm.
I mean, they could do it like a scaled down version of it for the new 3DS, and
Yeah.
still make a version that looks better and plays better on the Switch. So it doesn't
Hmm.
really bother me too much, but it's obviously why it's not coming to the original 3DS though.
Yeah. 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 They tried that experiment once. They're like,
Yeah.
nope, not doing that again. So so cool. Yeah. So if you have a new 3DS, you'll have one more game to look forward to. And then the biggest part of this direct was Fire Emblem Heroes was officially announced for mobile platforms. It'll be out February 2nd. It hits iOS and Android at that time. So no waiting like Super Mario Run, which they announced will be out in March, Frankie. So you'll be able to download it then. A couple
what's
more
the
months.
point? What's the point at that point? You guys probably
It's a,
stopped playing it, so
it's a fun game.
yeah. But I mean, if I beat your scores, you're gonna look at it, and go, that's cool, and you're not gonna play it again. It's too late. I feel like Android totally missed the boat on that whole thing.
It's possible. The interesting thing about Fire Emblem Heroes seems like they're going the full on free to play route with this. So it sounds like this is just going to be a free game with some microtransactions, and it doesn't appear that they're going to offer any kind of like $10 and you buy the game like they did with Super Mario Run. So I always felt like Fire Emblem was probably a series that could translate well to a touchscreen. Moving your units around, strategy games always seem to do pretty well on those type of setups. But this is kind of I don't know, it mixes like collecting. You collect different Fire Emblem heroes, add them to your team, almost like mixing card collecting with strategy. So it's an interesting looking title, but at free, it's going to get a lot of people to jump in there and try it out. Um, Benner, do you have any thoughts on what you saw from this mobile game? Is this something you might fire up on your phone, or is this just of no interest to you at all?
I'll definitely check it out,
Yeah,
especially if it's free to play.
yeah,
I never mind playing a game if it's free, and just to check it out. But yeah, that collecting thing made me think of Pokemon though. It's
yeah.
like gotta catch 'em all, guys with swords.
Exactly. Now I'm gonna hear you in my head every time I fire that game up now.
Nice.
So thanks.
My work here is done. Good night, everybody.
Frankie, this one you're gonna get to play right alongside everybody else on February 2nd. Any thoughts on this game?
Like Bender, I'll definitely check it out. I'm just happy I don't gotta wait. If it ends up being something that's really cool, I don't gotta hear you guys gushing about it and wait 6 months to finally get my hands on it. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah, and that pretty much wrapped it up for the direct. Like I said, they spent a good 8, 9, 10 minutes on the mobile portion of this game. So the majority of this Nintendo Direct was dedicated to that, which I think at least says a little bit of something about what they feel about mobile at this time and their position and what they can do with mobile. So Super Mario Run was very successful. Even Miitomo was successful for them. Pokemon, while not directly developed by them, has been a peripheral success for them. In fact, it's drove many people to buy some of the older Pokemon games on their platforms. So they see the benefit of mobile. They're seeing things happen in that space, and I think they're excited about what they're going to do with Fire Emblem and eventually Animal Crossing in a few months here, I would assume. So yeah, free to play. I'll download it as well, jump in there and see what it's all about. But I had a good bit of fun with Super Mario Run. I still actually fire it up from time to time, Frankie, and I got a few minutes here or there. If I'm just sitting there with my phone, I'll fire it up, run a level or run a Toad Rally or something. It's still a fun game to play. So if you beat one of my scores, I'll jump in there and try to conquer you still.
Good. Maybe I'll pick it up after all.
So that's your Fire Emblem Direct. Let's move on from there to some superheroes and fighting stuff with Injustice 2, a game I'm really excited about. And the first story trailer for the game was released this week, and my gosh, this thing looked badass. I mean, it's all cinematics and kind of cool superhero story stuff, but it's a really cool looking cinematic. There's lots of awesome stuff that happens in there. Frankie, I mean, after you watch this trailer, how do you not get excited about this game?
I honestly did consider waiting until like the ultimate deluxe edition comes out next year, but dude, watching that trailer and seeing like Batman in there like beating the crap out of Robin, and we saw Poison Ivy, saw Bane. I'm just like, I can't. I need to jump in on this thing when it comes out. The story for the first Injustice, I enjoyed immensely, so I'm looking forward to seeing what NetherRealm does with the follow up, especially with Brainiac. I don't know a whole lot about him, so.
He's an awesome villain. He's one of Superman's primary villains. He's up there with like Lex Luthor and those type of guys. I mean, he's in that stratosphere. He's been behind some very epic stories. He's actually the main villain of DC Universe Online as well. He's kind of the catalyst for that whole game. So
Nice.
He's a big time villain.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to hop into that game. Now I'm just like wondering which version to get. So
I definitely got to get the Ultimate Edition because it seems like for the value that you get in that package. Let's go over this real quick. So alongside the story trailer, they unveiled the 3 different versions of the game. You'll have the base game for $59.99. For $80, you can pick up the deluxe edition, which will get you 3 downloadable fighters as soon as they become available, an exclusive Defender shader for using gear customization, and 1 Premier skin. I want to get your thoughts on this, Frankie, but I really like this idea of the Premier skins. Premier skins will completely change the look of characters, adding new dialogue and a different voice. In the case of the deluxe edition, the skin is for Supergirl, transforming her into Power Girl. So it's kind of a cool way to bring in some of these other characters from the universe. The other premiere skins they talked about were the Reverse Flash for the Flash. So you've got Professor Zoom in there, which is awesome, and then John Stewart as another skin for Green Lantern. So obviously it's Hal Jordan is the main Green Lantern in the game. Then you can use the premiere skin to bring John Stewart in and play that version of Green Lantern.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's they'll have the same moves and whatnot, but being able to bring in different dialogue and even a different voice makes it seem like you're playing as that character,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty cool. It's not just a simple skin job. There's a little more that goes into it. So
Nice.
I really like that idea. And then we have the Ultimate Edition, which will run you $100. Has a badass Batman cover. It includes 9 future fighters. So we can now confirm there will be 9 DLC characters at the very least for this game. 2 exclusive shader packs, Destroyer and Defender. Not sure how those differ. I believe those just give your character different. They're like Destiny shaders, give different colors to your character. And then 3 premiere skins in the Ultimate Edition. Those will be the 3 we talked about with the Flash, Green Lantern, and Supergirl. So also for pre-ordering any of those, you'll have access to Darkseid, who we saw at the end of the trailer for Injustice 2. Darkseid is the biggest, baddest dude in the DC universe. So pretty cool that he's going to make an appearance in that game as well. So not only do you have Brainiac, but you've got Darkseid roving around here as well. So this has got to be just an epic game. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with the story too, because the Injustice story is just absurd and crazy as it is. But it makes for a fun game. They've actually branched it off into comic books, and they've kind of created this whole little universe based around this really crazy story that basically follows Superman as a villain. So it's a really interesting game. It's a really fun game. The fighting mechanics, they're very Mortal Kombat esque, but it's a very very good fighting game. I can't wait to see what they do with Injustice 2. Bender, I know you're not a fighting fan, but did you watch this trailer, man? Like, this trailer is, as a guy who likes superheroes, you'd probably like just watching the story play out in this thing.
I have not seen that trailer, but I do have an interest in Injustice 2. I mean, even though I'm not huge on fighting games, it is
Yeah,
of all the fighting games, it's one of the ones that I think is pretty cool.
yeah,
I did play the first one a little bit, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm
yeah,
just not very good at fighting games, so I probably won't
yeah,
like buy it or anything because I probably won't play it a ton. But I'll definitely check out Injustice 2 at some point when it comes out.
yeah. Yeah, it's just fun to get in there, even just from the superhero perspective, and see what they do with these characters and some of the crazy
Mhm.
stuff that they do. It's just kind of fun. Um, So Frankie, you mentioned Poison Ivy and Bane. They have been confirmed that they'll be playable characters. They showed up in the trailer, so we know a couple of them there. I want to pull up the roster here right now on the main Injustice website. By the way, you can sign up for the beta right now too. Is it just injustice2.com/beta? Is that the?
Yep.
Okay. So if you can't remember that, just Google Injustice 2 beta. Get in there, sign up for it. I'm signed up for it. Frankie, I'm sure you hopped in there and signed up for it as well. So hopefully we'll get in there and be able to check it out. Now on the main Injustice 2 page, there, if you pull it up there, they'll show you all the characters who they've confirmed so far. Even some of them they haven't, like Poison Ivy and Bane aren't on here. But on this character confirmation slot here, they still have a couple pages empty with like locked character screens. So altogether, there's 31 characters on this website, and some 20 of them have not been revealed yet. So what's unclear right now is if that 20 includes the 9 DLC characters, or if the original like main roster for the game is going to be all 31 characters. So we'll have to figure that out. But at the very least, there are quite a few characters, maybe 10, 11, 12 characters who have not been revealed for this game at this point. So right now we've got Batman, Blue Beetle, The Flash, Harley Quinn, Superman, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, Deadshot, Gorilla Grodd, Aquaman, and Atrocitus have all been confirmed alongside Poison Ivy and Bane for the game. We don't know if Brainiac's going to be a playable character. We assume Darkseid's going to be a playable character. He's a pre-order bonus. So we've got those characters as well. But yeah, sounds like this is going to be a robust lineup though, Frankie. Lots of characters still to come. And even if this 31 includes the 9 DLC characters. That's still a lot of superhero goodness to go around and knock some heads around with.
Oh yeah.
Anybody
Definitely.
anybody in particular from the DC universe you'd like to see? I know you don't get as nerded out on this stuff as I do, but is there anybody that you'd like to see in this game?
Probably a Black Manta.
Okay.
That's the only one I can think of offhand that I'd really like to see put in here.
Yeah, I mean there's been rumors that he's going to be the villain in the Aquaman movie, so I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all that he could make an appearance in Injustice 2. What about you, Bender? Like, if you could have one character show up in a DC fighting game, like who would you want to see?
Um, I don't know. I'm not as familiar with the DC universe as I am with Marvel.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I really like Green Lantern, but he's already there, and obviously I love Batman.
got you covered on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who I would choose, but when you mentioned Blue Beetle, just
Mhm.
kind of off topic. Did you ever play Batman Brave and the Bold?
I didn't play it. I used to like that cartoon though.
Yeah, they did a video game based on the cartoon, and it
Uh-huh.
was hilarious. And Blue Beetle like cracked me up. He was
He
hilarious.
was funny in that show too.
Yeah,
That was a good show.
the dialogue in that game was great. You should check it out if you ever get a chance. But that was fun. Fun
Is
times.
that the one? Is that the one that was on Wii?
I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
Was it only on Wii?
I don't know if it was only on Wii, but
Maybe.
I think that's where I played it though.
Yeah,
I think it was
so.
a Wii exclusive. I don't remember that coming anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that. I would have bought it for the PS3. I'm pretty confident if it came on there. I feel like it may have only been on the Wii. I've seen it at the store before.
Mhm.
It was a good one though. It was pretty good.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, it was a multiplayer like side-scrolling brawler.
Like a brawler.
Mhm.
Nice.
And you could play as Batman, and he would have different secondary characters with him depending on the level. But some of the levels he would be with Blue Beetle, and the dialogue was so great. It was so much fun.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to keep my eyes peeled for that one of these days. I have always wanted to play that game, so
Is Green Arrow? You didn't say Green Arrow, right? He's not confirmed.
I don't think he's confirmed yet. At least he's not.
Hmm.
He's not on this list here. He was in the first one though. I think it's a pretty
He
safe
was-
bet.
He was awesome in that first game.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good. I think it's probably a good a safe bet that he's probably going to show up in the second one here. He's a big character in their TV universe, so I feel like that's kind of one that people know that they would want to see in this game. So I think there's definitely a good shot that he's in there. Personally, I don't know. I kind of want to see Mr. Freeze. I feel like he'd be a really cool character in this game. I think was it Captain Cold in the first Injustice?
No.
Okay, so either Mr. Freeze or Captain Cold. I don't know why I'm thinking he was in there, but yeah, I love Batman's villains. I love Flash's villains. So any of those guys like Mirror Master, Captain Cold, Weather Wizard,
Hmm.
Grodd's already in the game, but all those guys are
Was-
really cool.
Was Clayface in the first one?
I don't believe Clayface.
That-
Yeah,
that-
he'd
that'd
be an
my
awesome.
pick. That'd be my pick.
Yeah, they could do a lot of cool stuff with Clayface. I think that's a great pick. Yeah, I've always loved Mr. Freeze. He's one of my favorite villains, so I'd like to see him in this game as well. There was a rumored list that had Mr. Freeze and some of the other characters on it, but I don't know about the veracity of that list, so we won't dwell too much on it here. But I'd like to see Freeze show up here. Yeah, tune in January 24th, so that's this upcoming Tuesday. NetherRealm's going to do a live stream and unveil some further information about the game. Maybe they'll unveil some new characters, show some mechanics. I don't know what they're planning, but it sounds like it's going to be a cool live stream. So check that out on Tuesday as you're getting all your new releases squared away. We putting the Injustice stream on in the background. Before we move on from fighting games, we've got a quick Street Fighter bit here. But Capcom teasing some surprises for Street Fighter. This is obviously the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter this year, which is crazy. It just makes me feel really, really old to know that this game's 30 years old now. And they've said that these surprises should be around E3 or maybe even San Diego Comic-Con. We have one or two surprises we hope our fans will look forward to. This is a message from Capcom. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear E3 or San Diego Comic-Con, this would obviously seem to be something maybe comic related. So I feel like this would be maybe hinting towards maybe a release date for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, or maybe some of the characters that are going to be in that game. But they did say Street Fighter surprises, so I don't know if that qualifies or not. I don't know, Frankie. What do you think, man? What could they be hinting at here?
Um, maybe some kind of crossover. Maybe maybe we're able to bring some Marvel characters into Street Fighter.
Mm.
Because I'd imagine some of those would fit pretty well in that universe. So
I just thought too, like, what if they remastered X-Men vs. Street Fighter or Marvel superheroes vs. Street Fighter, brought
that'd
them
be nice
back out?
too.
That'd be
That'd be pretty
I
cool.
love those games. In fact, I bought a Saturn so I could play those games. Like
Ah,
I bought a Saturn with the RAM cart or whatever you needed to play those games, and I imported Marvel superheroes vs. Street Fighter was an awesome game on that system. With the Saturn pad, which is probably the best, like just fighting game controller in terms of just what comes with the system. The Saturn pad was made for fighting games, and that game played great on there. I had so much fun with that game. Um,
nice.
I used to go to fighting game tournaments and anime conventions and that kind of stuff, and they always had the Saturn hooked up, and people were playing, Marvel superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Jumped in there a few times, got my ass handed to me, but it was always fun. So
Yeah.
good times. But yeah, I'm excited. Street Fighter obviously is a franchise that I just love, so I can't wait to see what they have planned for this year. I mean, it's a great time to be a fighting fan, dude. There's so many good fighting games going on right now. In addition to Street Fighter and Injustice, you got Mortal Kombat, you've got Marvel vs. Capcom coming back, you've got all the stuff that Blaze Blue is doing, and King of Fighters, and just all. It's just a renaissance for fighting games right now, and
Yeah.
it's cool that's happening right now.
Yeah. Plus, we got Tekken 7 will get a release date next
Yeah,
week.
Tekken 7 getting a release date next week. So good times, man. Moving on here, we got another little tease from Playdead of all people. I don't know what you guys thought of this, but I certainly didn't expect to hear or see anything from Playdead for many years. The fact that they came out and tweeted this image of, I'm not even sure what this is a picture of. This looks like an alien to me. I don't know. Maybe it's a kid dragging some type of a parachute in some type of a desert or a mountain setting. In the background, we see some ship or rocket crashing in the sky. Frankie, what do you make of this, man? Playdead, it took them 5 years to make Inside. They've already said, hey, thanks for the this is the message. Thank you for your warm reception of Inside. Since release, Playdead founder Arndt Jensen and the team have been working on the next adventure. So what do you make of this, dude? Might we see this sooner than 5 years? Is this just something they're just throwing out there, and this thing is nowhere near any type of release date? I mean, I know they just went through kind of a messy divorce between the founders. Not a divorce; they weren't married, but like this kind of a messy situation between the two Playdead founders, kind of parting ways. I don't know. What do you make of this, man?
I don't know. It's an interesting image. I would kind of like to see them maybe branch out and explore some maybe different gameplay mechanics. So maybe this will be something a little different. At least, I hope so.
Yeah. Bender, what do you think of this, man?
I don't know. Just the statement itself seems like this can't be much more than just concept art.
Yeah.
Because if they've only been working on it since Inside released, I mean,
Yeah.
that hasn't been that long ago. So, I mean, I'm sure maybe they had this concept already and they're kind of doing preliminary work on it. Yeah, I can't imagine they'd be very far along with this thing, but I'll be looking forward to whatever it is.
Yeah. I guess why show it? Like, why show it right now?
Yeah, that's a good question.
In fact, when I first saw it, my thought was maybe this is DLC or something that's connected to Inside. Is that a possibility at all? It looks like it has the same aesthetic as Inside.
I don't know. It says they're working on the next adventure. That sounds like
Yeah.
a new thing, like a new IP
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. Interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was DLC, honestly, because Inside's a pretty out there game. So
I'm now that you mentioned that, Frankie, I wanna actually take a second to touch on this, but we've all played through Inside. if you've played through Inside, I'm sorry, if you haven't played through Inside, maybe just fast forward a few minutes in this recording or on this video here. But I want to ask you guys real quick. We never got a chance to discuss this on the show or to do a spoiler cast for this game, but I want to know what you guys thought Inside was about. Yeah, I'm really curious. If you even have an idea. I've got kind of some wild thoughts about this game, but Bender, let me start with you, man. When you played through Inside, like, just what was going through your mind? Like, what did you think that this game was about?
I have no idea. I mean,
You have no earthly concept.
no. I mean, maybe some sort of corporation that's like experimenting on people, and I don't know what end though. Uh, I mean, the boy seemed like he was running from people, but he ran to their facility, and then
Yeah, when that game starts, you slide down that little hill, and then it almost seemed like you were escaping from something, like you're on the run. But then
Mhm.
you go towards the facility.
I don't know. Maybe he was trying to. I mean, maybe he had escaped and he was trying to get back to help other people escape, or who knows?
Gotcha.
It was so weird, especially the very end. It was just so bizarre.
Yeah, it is an extremely strange game, and it kind of lost me at the end there. Frankie, any idea what you played with Inside? And I think it's funny that this game was nominated for things like best narrative, and I'm looking at this like, what? Like, where did you get the best narrative from? But
Nobody
what?
knows what the
Yeah,
narrative is about.
yeah, nobody even knows the hell the game's about. Well, some people claim they do, and they claim it very matter of factly. I always find that funny as well. But Frankie, what did you think about Inside, dude?
Uh,
What is this game about?
I don't know. Like when I finished the game and the credits rolled, I sat there staring at the TV like, what?
Yeah,
So
like many of us.
yeah, I mean there is an alternate ending which I just looked up on YouTube because I'm not gonna play through the game again to get all the stuff to find the ending. I played it once. It was great. I'm not interested in playing it again. But I don't know. I assume something with the mind control stuff. Like I don't know if that boy is like some kind of mind control. Like the kid himself is like under mind control, and maybe he kind of broke free, and they were chasing him down to get him back. But then whatever was controlling him regained control of him. I don't know, dude. That game is weird.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like it's really cool to play. The puzzles in that game are really cool, but whatever it's about, I have no freaking idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it's an exquisitely designed game. There's no doubt about it. It's extremely polished. It's expertly designed. The craft on display in the game is incredible. But yeah, what the game is about. I feel like, the boy and the facility and all the stuff that goes into the game. I feel like this has to be a metaphor for something. I feel like that's not like the story of this game or the message they're trying to say, because it's too weird to be like an actual like story. So I don't know. I've always been racking my brain, and I came up with this wacky idea that maybe we were seeing the story of a set of twins who were maybe either one of them survived and the other one was like stillborn, or or they both may have possibly died in the womb. And stay with me for a minute on this. So at one point in the game, when you encounter that other lady or that creature that's in the water, she's kind of like this weird, creepy lady or child, just like yourself. And once you finish off that sequence, you go through this sequence where you basically die. You drown in the water. You just carry down, and then so. But then the game continues on after that. So it was almost like, and then when you get to the end of the game, you've this is a very loose theory. I haven't worked out all the kinks on it. But when you get to the end of the game, you're in this big mass of people. I almost got these ideas of like a sperm being with like the rest of the the sperms that didn't make it into the egg or whatever. So I don't know. I was getting this like birthing imagery from this game. Like I said, it's very loose. It's very weird, but I just felt like that girl like may have been his twin, and she was either trying to save him or trying to assert her dominance in the womb over him, like that she was going to be the dominant sibling, and eventually, she was the one that was born, he was the one that wasn't born. Or you could even take it one step further and maybe that it was just a metaphor for like just like procreation or something like that. Like maybe he represents the sperm that didn't make it into the egg.
I like that theory actually. It makes sense because the part you're talking about where he seems to die, she dives down and she actually saves him.
Mm-hmm.
So now he can breathe underwater and all that. So maybe, yeah, actually that makes a hell of a lot more sense than whatever I thought it took away from that game.
Yes, I mean I haven't been able to like piece together all the thoughts behind the theory, but it's been the dominating thought that's been kind of moving around in my mind in terms of this game.
Makes about as much sense as anything else in that game.
I doubt that we'll ever hear from the developer because I think that's one of the things about this game is they want people to kind of formulate their own thoughts on it. But I'd be very curious to hear Playdead describe what this game is about or what they were thinking about when they made this game. Like I said, I don't think they'll ever do it, but I think that would be like an awesome podcast or a spoiler cast or a video or something if they ever decide to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so end of spoilers. We won't talk about Limbo Inside anymore, but that's our crazy thoughts on what that game was about.
It's a great game. Go play it.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's a very weird game. It is just an exquisite display of game design, though. There's no doubt about it. All right, a couple more things we're gonna bang out here before we end the show, guys. Shovel Knight, Specter of Torment is launching in April, so we have a release date for it now. Bender, have you watched the? Have you been following Specter of Torment at all? Kind of seeing how this game's coming along. It looks pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely down for it. I'm hoping that next weekend when I'm down in San Antonio for PAX South, that I'll get a chance to try it out. I heard they're going to be there with that game, so I will.
Yeah.
If I find it, I will definitely try it out.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you talk about that for a little bit, man? Are you excited to go to PAX next week?
I am. I'm really excited to go. I've never really been to any convention of any kind, so it's gonna be a new experience. Gonna be driving down there, staying in a hotel a couple nights, and going for 2 of the 3 days of PAX South. And I have no idea what I'm gonna find down there, but I'll walk around and see what I can see. And I definitely know for sure that Nintendo is going to be there with the Switch because they said so on their website. So I'm going to try to play that if I can, and hopefully find some cool indie games and other stuff that I've maybe never even heard of and try it out. Whatever catches my eye, I'll check it out and tell you guys my impressions once I get done with it all. But I'm really excited about going down there.
Oh, dude, you're gonna play that Switch. You're gonna throw some elbows. You're gonna do whatever you got to do to get in there and play that game.
Yes, I am definitely playing that. I hope they have a Zelda demo, but even if they don't, I'm gonna play whatever they have available, and hopefully I'll be able to try out all the different controller configurations and everything, and so I can get a good, well-rounded view of what it's like to play that thing.
He's gonna come back and just be all about 1-2 Switch.
It's like, you guys, that milking that cow is so much fun.
Eating that imaginary sub changed your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude, how much of a buzzkill would it be if Zelda wasn't there? When you got a launch lineup with 5 games and Zelda's not there, there's no way. It has to be there, right? It has to be there.
I imagine so. I really hope it is. If it's not, I'm going to be very disappointed, but we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, so in addition to Specter of Torment releasing in April, Shovel Knight actually changing their whole structure for the game. They're kind of re-releasing it as this they call it Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. It's going to be the new game for it, which is kind of the all-encompassing Shovel Knight experience, which will include Specter of Torment and What's
Plague
the
of
name of the other one?
Shadows.
Plague of Shadows. Yeah, that's the one.
Mhm.
So it's gonna contain all that. It's also gonna contain, I guess it's gonna contain King Knight's campaign when that's all said and done. Is that right? I think the treasure trove is gonna be the entire experience, or you
Mhm.
can buy each of the. I also love that they've titled the first Shovel Knight "Shovel of Hope." So I think that's awesome. They kind of little Star Wars Easter egg there, throwing in the Shovel of Hope in there on the first Shovel Knight. But yeah, it's a little bit confusing. I think they've talked a little bit about what the price is going to be for this thing. I think it's going to be $25 for the treasure trove, and each of the individual campaigns are now going to be available for $10. I might be mistaken on that. I don't have the pricing information in front of me, and I don't even know if they've confirmed that. But I feel like I read that somewhere the other day. Um, so if you want to get Shovel Knight before it changes form or before it changes its pricing structure, get out there and pick it up now. The people that's already have the game, they're still going to be able to get the content for free, like it's been coming out, but they will be changing how they do Shovel Knight in terms of its economics here in the near future. So make sure you get on the boat now if you want to. I feel like it's going to be cheaper to get it now than wait for them to change the pricing structure on it.
Oh, yeah.
Also, like we mentioned, Shovel Knight coming to the Switch, so that I'm guessing that'll be around April as well. They said launch window, so it could be in March, but I feel like when they release the Specter of Torment and they change kind of the Shovel Knight pricing structure, that feels like that's as good a time as any to get the game on Switch. So look out for that. Also exciting 2-player co-op coming to all consoles. So I'm really interested to try and check that out. Body swap mode, so you can switch kind of Shield Knight and Shovel Knight and play their different body types as a character. Um, then they're adding a battle mode, which is kind of like a Smash Brothers type of take on Shovel Knight as well. So lots of cool stuff in the world of Shovel Knight coming up in the near future. Yeah, Bender, if you get a chance to check out Shovel Knight, report back to us, man. I'm really curious to hear how Spectre of Torment plays.
Absolutely.
Awesome. NPD results, guys. December's results are in, and as we talked about before, the PlayStation on top of the hardware sales. So PS4 was the victor for December. More interesting though are these software charts for December. First game, no surprise, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I mean, maybe it is a surprise to some, seeing as how it was probably the least buzzed about Call of Duty in recent memory. But even that said, it still came out on top. It's still a juggernaut in terms of sales. How about this guy at number 2 though? And we talked about this with the November charts, but Final Fantasy 15 charted at number 2 on the NPD for December, which is pretty huge for them. Final Fantasy 15 was the second best-selling title for December 2016 and was the top-selling title on the PS4, which is interesting. A lot of people picked this game up on the PlayStation 4. Final Fantasy 15 experienced the best console launch month in the history of the franchise since tracking began in 1995, selling 19% more new physical units than Final Fantasy 13 in its launch month, and 54% more in total dollar revenue, including digital full game sales. So how about that, guys? We talked about it, at the end of November. We felt like what we had heard about Final Fantasy 15 with the 5 million initial shipment and all that kind of stuff, that this game was going to perform in December, and lo and behold, it became true. So congrats to Final Fantasy 15. Rounding out the top 10, got Battlefield 1 still going strong, Madden NFL 17, NBA 2K 17, Watch Dogs 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, Pokemon Sun, FIFA 17, and Pokemon Moon. So pretty much your usual suspects on there.
Hey,
I don't know,
Watch
Bender.
Dogs started.
Yeah, Watch Dogs started. So had a strong December. Bender, what do you think about this list, man? Anything stand out to you? Just Final Fantasy, or is anything else in here jump out at you?
Yeah, I mean, just Final Fantasy is number 2. That's great. I'm happy that the game is doing well. I'm glad it didn't disappoint after such a long time in development.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the other ones for the most part seem the usual suspects. I mean, Watch Dogs 2 that's cool that charted too. I still haven't played that game, but it looked kind of interesting. So I guess I'll have to check it out at some point. But yeah, seems pretty standard other than that.
Yeah, Frankie, Final Fantasy 15. We heard about the 5 million units shipped, but it seems like it sold through most of those units. I know we heard there was an additional million units shipped out to retailers recently as well. So, sounds like that game's coming along pretty good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I also believe they just sent out emails that the Ultimate Edition,
Oh yeah,
that one that you got, yeah, that's coming to Xbox One now. So you can, if you're interested
Yeah.
in getting that, taking pre-orders now, I guess.
yeah. Look out for that. That's extremely limited, extremely expensive, but it's a pretty cool set. If you are a hardened Final Fantasy fan, definitely get out there and check it out. All right, last thing we're gonna touch on, guys, is something I thought was really interesting this week. But Resident Evil 7 is going to be an Xbox Play Anywhere title, and the reason this is interesting is because it's a third-party game. It's the first game that's taken advantage of this buy one copy, get it on the Xbox One and the PC setting. So I don't really know what to make of it, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Frankie, let me start with you. What do you think about Resident Evil 7 being a Play Anywhere title? What does that mean for the future of this program? Should we expect to see a lot of third-party games take advantage of this in the future, or what do you think?
I think in terms of like Windows 10, that's great.
Mhm.
I think for and maybe Resident Evil 7's not the best example of this, but you hear reports of things like Call of Duty. You have your active users on Steam in the Windows 10 because these are not like these versions don't play together online. So you have your thousands, millions of gamers playing this on Steam versus the like 2 on the Windows 10 version. So I think going forward that maybe like doing a Play Anywhere promotion with games like Call of Duty, maybe multiplayer games. That's probably in terms of like getting a user base on the Windows 10 version. That's a really smart idea. Like I said, Resident Evil 7 is single player, so I that's great if you want to play the thing on your Windows 10 PC. That's awesome, especially if that game is well optimized on PC. Um, but yeah, I think it's great to see other someone outside of Microsoft kind of embracing the Play Anywhere thing. I think that's definitely a great step forward, especially for gamers who have PCs and like playing on there with friends. Maybe this kind of helps. If we see more third party developers kind of go this route, maybe we start seeing more of a boom on the Windows 10 user base. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Bender, I don't know about you, but prior to this, I didn't even think that this was an option. Like I thought this was strictly a first party, kind of thing. I didn't realize that third parties could get involved in this. Well, what do you think about Resident Evil being a Play Anywhere title? What does that mean for the future of this program, or what are your thoughts on it?
That definitely opens the door for a lot of things to be part of that program too. So yeah, it's something I didn't even think about before either.
Mhm.
So I guess that's a good thing. The more games that people will be able to play wherever they choose to play is a good thing, I guess. So yeah,
Yeah.
can't complain about that.
Yeah. So yeah, really interesting. I'm not sure exactly what to make of it at this point. Obviously, it's a good, like Frankie, like you mentioned, it's a good play for Windows 10 kind of booster in that ecosystem. And if that becomes the regular, it's going to be a very enticing proposition for people to be able to pick up a game and have it on both their console and their PC simultaneously. So
Other cool thing is it sounds like the save function. We're not going to have another Quantum Break disaster.
that'd be
All the
good.
saves
Yes.
are going to transfer between without any
Yeah.
having to restart. So
Gotcha. Awesome, guys. Well, that is going to do it for the news on this show. We do have an email that I want to get to. It's from our good buddy, Angels and Demons. He starts, "What's up, fellas? Awesome show 100. I'm happy to hear that you guys are working on getting developers on for the show. I really believe the quality of production, content, and growing body of work will make anyone take your inquiries seriously. With that being said, I'd love to see you do a show where you spoiler cast a game, much in the same way you did Star Wars. I'm guessing he means Episode 7 because he wrote 8 here, but much in the way you did Star Wars Episode 7. Whether it's a game, movie, or comic, I feel there's enough overlap with the themes of the media to find a regular place on the show with an appreciative audience. Keep doing what you're doing. Still waiting on that short pause coffee mug or monogram vibrating cock ring, whichever comes first. Signed, Angels and Demons." Well, Angels, we will work on your monogram there. I'd probably put money on the coffee mug prior to the cock ring, but we'll see how everything plays out. Yeah, we obviously we love Angels and Demons. He's constantly giving us feedback, constantly involved in the show. We really appreciate him being kind of an ambassador for this program and constantly staying in communication with us. So thanks again for the email, man. We love to hear from you. What do you guys think about what he said? Do you I don't know if you guys remember that spoiler cast we did for episode 7. It was myself and Brent on there, but we kind of broke down the movie and kind of went into all the nitty gritty details of it. You guys have done a spoiler cast for Life is Strange on here as well. We did a few months back. What do you guys think about that idea about doing more spoiler casts? Not even necessarily for games, but doing for movies or even comic books. That's obviously something I'd love to do. I'm not sure how you guys would feel about that, but I don't know. What do you think, Frankie? Let me go to you first. What do you think about doing more spoiler casts? Not even necessarily game related. Is that something you guys would be interested in?
I know I would be. There's a
Mhm.
lot of movies that even though when they come out, I don't get to see them right away, just because a lot of times it's movies Jen's interested in, and our schedule's still kind of, it's got to mesh up with when she's off work, which is a pain now. So, but yeah, I mean, even like going to games, like I think, if we see a game coming out that we're all interested in. I know we did this with Batman Arkham Knight. You guys got it. You guys played through it. You guys did a spoiler cast.
Mhm.
I think it'd be even cool, like in that aspect, because then, you know, it kind of put us all into playing the same game and having something to all converse about once we're actually done playing it.
Mhm.
So I think something like that actually is really cool within itself.
Yeah.
Um, but dude, I would love to sit in on like a spoiler cast of comics. I know it would probably mostly be led by yourself, but I mean, listening to the lore of that stuff is always really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I even went back and listened to the episode 7 spoiler cast when I finally saw the movie. So, yeah, man, I'm totally game to do any more of those spoiler casts. I know, even for me personally, like, there's a lot of times I'll finish a game or go and see a movie, and like the
Mhm.
second I'm done, I want to talk about it,
Yeah.
but you don't know like where everyone else is. So can I say anything? Should I shut up? So
Yeah.
I would totally be down to do more of those.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that episode 7 spoiler cast. It was cool to sit down and talk Star Wars and kind of take a break from the gaming for a second and just talk about something else that we like to do. We actually we wanted to try and do something for Rogue One, but we're unable to get something set up for that just due to what was we were just busy at the time. But we will try and get some more of these in the future. Bender, what are your thoughts on the spoiler cast, man? Is that something you'd like to get into? Maybe even non gaming related?
Yeah, definitely. I like that idea. I
Hmm.
think it's a good one. Um, spoiler casts are a lot of fun. I mean, the ones that we have done have been cool. The Batman Arkham Knight one was very long, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, we,
and
we
then
really we really dove into that game.
yeah, we went into every detail of that game.
Yeah.
It was cool though. And then I really enjoyed the Life is Strange spoiler cast that Frankie and I did. If you guys have not played that game, go play it. If you have played that game, go back and listen to it. It was a lot of fun. And side note, that was the first and only episode that I edited myself,
Yeah.
so that was fun.
Well,
I didn't
short
want,
pause trivia nugget. How about
yeah,
that?
yeah. I didn't want Felsing to go and have to edit a spoiler cast for a game he hadn't played, so I offered to edit that one. So that was fun and interesting as well. But yeah, I love movies. I mean, I don't read a lot of comic books, but I love movies and music and stuff. So I mean, anything you guys really enjoyed as well, and you wanted to do a spoiler cast for, I'd be down for.
You know what I really want to do a spoiler cast for when I finish it?
Hmm.
Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
I
that'd be
still
good.
have to watch that. Yeah.
I've seen the whole series. It was pretty good. So yeah,
Nice.
if you guys want to do one when you're done watching it, hit me up. I'll join you for that.
Hmm.
I'm only an episode in, so
Interesting. When
It's a
when did you
pretty good
start
show.
watching it?
Pretty good show.
it's really good.
When
Just the
when did you
first
start
episode
watching it?
alone. Thursday.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I want to get that into. I really want to see that show. Man, it's really hard for me to sit down and watch a TV show. My mind's always going. I'm like, man, I gotta play this game, or I gotta write this or that, and it's hard for
Mm,
me to just sit down and commit to a TV show. even one like Stranger Things, which is like 8 episodes or something. So,
Mhm.
yeah, so I need to make a conscious effort to do that because I would like to watch that as well. But
Yeah, each episode's like 45 minutes, I think. So
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
and I'm not much for binge watching either. I don't know how people can sit down and watch an entire season in one sitting. It's like I can't do that.
Yeah. I get maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
attention span's gone now.
Dude, that's my wife. She is a binge. Like she could just sit down and watch an entire series,
Wow.
front to back, and then she could just start another one right after that. It's pretty incredible.
Dude, I can't even do that with video games, dude. I finished Yakuza 0, and I was like, all right, I just need a couple nights to just space out, not do anything. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, but Angels, I think you're right on, man. We like to do the spoiler cast. We'd like to get some more of these. They will never supplant the regular podcast, so we'll always have that. But I like the idea of having some supplemental spoiler casts that we can add in there for people, kind of as a nice little bonus. So I had a lot of
Mhm.
fun doing the Star Wars one. I'd easily anticipate us doing one for episode 8 later this year. That's definitely gonna happen. I would like to see us get some games in there too. I was thinking maybe Horizon or Zelda would be a really good one if we all played through to do a spoiler cast on.
Oh yeah.
But man, they both come out at the same time, and to do a spoiler cast on one, we'd have to ignore the other one. And personally, I don't know that I'm ready to ignore Horizon because I know you are, Bender. You're gonna play through Zelda, but I don't know that Brent and myself would be ready to ignore Horizon and play Zelda in its place. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have to rethink when we can do
You
a
and
spoiler cast
maybe
on
you
that.
two can do the Horizon spoiler cast. Me and Frankie will do the Zelda one.
We could do that because I'm gonna play Zelda before I finish Horizon. So
Interesting. Yeah, if I start Horizon on time, like if I start it that day it comes out before Zelda, there's no way. I'm not gonna get invested in that game and then stop playing it. There's no way. So if I dive in, I'm in.
Yeah.
It would just
I'm
be a matter if I decided to wait on it or not.
I'm probably gonna play Horizon the day it comes out, but I'm definitely gonna backburner it Zelda until I'm a little
Yeah.
deeper into Zelda. I may not
Yeah.
wait until I completely finish Zelda. I'll try to kind of split my time between them, but I'm gonna be playing a bunch of Zelda before I go back to Horizon. I'm sure.
Definitely.
I might be there with you. I have that entire week off after they're both out, so
Oh, nice, lucky.
I know. This is the first time I've ever because I have to schedule my vacations in December, so I just picked a random week. I picked the week for Horizon actually. That's why I took off because
Mhm.
Jen's off that week too. So we were gonna play through Horizon, but then there goes Nintendo. Like, hey, the Switch will be out that Friday with Zelda, so have fun.
So yeah, once again, Angels and Demons, thanks for writing in, dude. We appreciate your support of this program. It means the world to us. And yeah, it was a good question, man. And we'll definitely try and get some more spoiler casts into the podcast rotation this year. So be on the lookout for that, guys. That's gonna do it for the show. Wrapping it up, Frankie. Where can we find you? Gaming, tweeting, all that good stuff.
You can find me on Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, probably some kind of Nintendo thing at Viper Strike. Tuesday night, I think I'm gonna regroup with Madzu and JD to bring you guys episode 2 of our Warhammer Vermintide series. It's gonna stream that thing until we finish it. Not all in the same sitting, but as far as streaming it goes. So if you're interested in checking out what that game is all about, follow us on our Twitch channel, Short Pause Live on Twitch. So it'll be Tuesday night, probably a little after 11 p.m. Eastern time because I have no idea when I'm going to get home. So it's just safe to assume it'll be after 11.
Right on, Bender. Where can we find you, dude?
You can find me on Twitter at Bender_guitar. I'm on PlayStation Network at me_Bender, on the Nintendo Network at Bender82, and Xbox Live at me Bender82.
Well, Bender, we can't thank you enough for making that easy on everyone. So
That's what I do.
From myself, on behalf of everyone, thank you.
You know what?
Um,
If the same name was available on all the platforms, I would have chosen one, but I tried different things and it just didn't work out.
What's your friend code again for the 3DS?
tweet me about it, and if you need my 3DS friend code, you can take the initiative and reach out to me.
As always, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930. That's my PSN handle as well. Just a reminder, the Thursday night indie spotlight is every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. We will grab a new indie title from the week, fire it up for a little while, see what it's all about. So that is also housed on our Twitch page. So twitch.tv/shortpauselive, once again, is the address. We're still in the planning stages of getting that moved up to Tuesday, so we can get you guys some of those games even sooner in the week when they come out. And we'll, of course, keep you abreast of that situation as we try and expand on the Indie Spotlight for this year. As far as us, make sure you visit us at the website. It's www.shortpause.com. Find all our articles, reviews, news, editorials, all kinds of fun stuff on there. Videos, the podcast, everything gets posted on there. So make sure you visit the website, keep up with everything that we're doing. You can follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause as well. Make sure you're following Brent as well. It's at The Dude 1979 on Twitter. On PSN, he's The Dude 79. On Xbox, he's The Real Dude 79. So make sure you follow
easy
Brent.
like me.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Brent. So make sure you're following him as well as all of us. The podcast, you can find it on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Google Play. So make sure you're subscribed on there so you never miss an episode. We also have the video version of the podcast, which obviously we started with episode 100. So you'll be able to find that on our YouTube page. Just search Short Pause Gaming on YouTube. You'll find, in addition to all of our videos, you'll be able to find a video version of the podcast there as well if you want to check that out. We'd like to hear your feedback on the show. If you have any feedback, make sure you email us, podcast@shortpause.com. Not just feedback, ask us questions, send us comments, whatever, just like Angels and Demons did. Sent us a nice little message and asked us about the spoiler cast, and we tackled it on the show. So we'd love to hear from you guys. Definitely write in whenever you get a chance. If you like this podcast, if you really like this podcast, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, tell us why you like the show, give us a nice review. If you're not quite ready to give us 5 stars, go into the comments of this post, either in the video or on our website, in the comments of the actual blog post, and give us your feedback on the show. Let us know what we can do so that you can give us a 5-star rating in the future, and hop over to iTunes and give us that when you're ready. So for Bender, for Frankie, for Brent, who's not here tonight, thank you so much for tuning in, listening to the show, watching it on YouTube. We appreciate your guys' support. We will see you next week when we will have a special guest joining us. Until that time, we're out. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.